Lights out and away we go. Oh my goodness! Hello and welcome ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the resumption of the UK Sim Racing Community's GT3-GTP Multiclass League Season 1 as brought to you on the premier sim racing platform available only on PC, known as iRacing. And today marks round 8 of 10 as we return to the racing action in the final third of the season. And what better venue to bring it all back to the front of the frontier of racing than the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Located in the steering region of the Central European country, this is a circuit which has been a staple of UK sim racing series, whether it be the GT3 League, the Porsche Cup, or now coming into the world the GT3-GTP Multiclass League. And indeed, many of you remember the infamous moment, the free wide into turn number 3 that we did see in the GT3 League in Season 11, if my memory does serve me correctly, which led to the absolutely phenomenal conclusion of racing there. And indeed, we can expect plenty of that and plenty more today as our drivers get ready to go racing once again here after the mid-season break. Indeed, whilst they've had the best part of a week off, it hasn't numbed the senses and it hasn't dulled the doldrums from our drivers as they get ready to go racing once again. And what an evening we have ahead of us here as we make our way into that final third. And of course, victory today is not going to necessarily seal any championships, but what it will do is put our drivers on the front foot when it comes to going racing and give them the confidence potentially they might be the driver who could potentially take that championship crown when they go through the final 2 rounds of racing. But still, all that and more is still to be unveiled today. And as we get ready to go racing, we welcome you all to this live broadcast from the circuit side, available only on the official Twitch channel of UK Sim Racing. That's UK Sim Racing on Twitch at twitch.tv/UK Sim Racing, and welcome to you in the Twitch chat there. But alternatively, with regards to the race, of course, if you can't quite make today, all these broadcasts are available as well on the UK Sim Racing YouTube channel, and therefore we do have the videos on demand available there. They're exported the day after, so you can always catch up with the racing. But of course, you want to be here live to be able to see the racing, and in the content booth you have myself, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain Spit, bringing you all the racing action today, indeed in the entirety of the season. I'll be bringing you all of that racing. Well, with the season, let's tell you a little bit about what's still lying in wait and what we've covered thus far. And as we can see, we start today and that final third as of the 19th of November, a fine Sunday evening it is. Once again, Christmas is around the corner. It's only 4 or 5 weeks away. Mariah Carey has been unleashed from containment when it comes to your local radio, but thankfully we're not going to be hearing any Mariah Carey. All I Want for Christmas Is You today. All you're going to be hearing is the sound of engines absolutely roaring around the Austrian circuit. And well, our final 3 rounds will have Red Bull Ring today. And then in round number 9, it'll be the Daytona International Speedway in the United States of America, the state of Florida, playing host for the second time this season. That'll be the 26th of November, and we bring it all to a close around 10 of 10 at the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in the United Kingdom. The 3rd of December is when we bring the curtain down, and we'll be announcing our champions in the Drivers and Teams Championships. But preceding all of this, let's give you a quick recap about the season that's played out. Round number 1 saw us kick off on the 17th of September at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. In the state of Indiana, we got to see some fantastic racing up and down the field, but in particular the 5-way fight for victory in the GTP Pro class. Then rounding forward to round number 2, we made our way across the Pacific Ocean from America to Japan for the Fuji International Speedway. In the foothills of Mount Fuji on the 24th of September, well, the theme continued to be the battles up the front of the field just as much towards the rear of the field, but the absolutely brilliant battle that we did see in the GT3 AM class, which led to Satinder Dinta bringing on home his first victory of the season despite being pressured and pushed every step of the way by none other than Lawrence Marsh. Then round number 3, we made our way to Belgium for the circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, and there the legendary circuit played host to our drivers on the 1st of October, and then, well, a legendary performance was seen. It had to be seen to be believed for none other than the 420 Effect Simulations car in the GTP Pro class of Paul Busby, who absolutely dominated at the front of the field and was untouchable. We then had our first mid-season break before we returned for the second portion of the season, and that was the mid-portion from rounds 4 through to 7, with round 4 playing host in the United States of America at the Watkins Glen International Circuit in the state of New York. Then on the 15th of October, it was almost as if Multiclass met NASCAR in the US of A, with the high speeds that we saw drivers achieve around the wonderful Grand Prix circuit, and in the end there was battles of plenty up and down the field, with Salvatore Guariento and Billy Bob Ray and David Larson all going toe-to-toe in the GTP AM class. And then round number 5, we made our way to the circuit des 24 Hours du Mans. And in France, we got to see the theme of the GTP AM class continue, with the sole Porsche 963 of Salvatore Guariento finally taking its first win of the season after being denied multiple times in rounds 3 and 4, and that was on the 22nd of October. And on the 29th of October, we made our way to the state of Florida for the Sebring International Raceway, and there it was bumpy as our drivers made the way over the asphalt and tarmac. They roared their way around in round number 6, and come the conclusion of it all, well, it was definitely a phenomenal end. Indeed, some interesting ends when the battle for third place all came to fruition in the GT3 AM class, with our battle for third place between two of our drivers end up with them spinning and going backwards across the line, and that you need to see to believe. Then last time out in round number 7 on the 5th of November, we visited Italy for the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, or the Monza Grand Prix circuit, and whilst many were fearful of a major incident at Monza Turn 1, of course you can't say Monza without Turn 1 lap number 1 and getting a bit of a run for your chest in terms of adrenaline, but I'll tell you one thing, our drivers all safely made it the way on through, and we got to see some absolutely stellar racing there. Indeed, plenty more to come as we wind our way into this final third of the season. But coming from our season calendar then to our circuit for today, where it's none other than the Grand Prix Loud of the Red Bull Ring, located in Spielberg in the steering region of Austria. This circuit, as you can see from the circuit map provided by iRacing.com, and thank you to them for the wonderful simulator and the track maps that come with it. This is a circuit which is rather simple on paper. However, when you look into the detail, it's a very complex circuit. Only consisting of 10 corners or 9 depending on what your preference is and whether you want to have a bit of a brawl with your fellow motorsport enthusiasts over a dinner table. This is a circuit which we'll be referring to as 10 corners throughout, and as you make your way around here, it's split into 2 equal halves, with the first 4 corners being focused around power and braking potential, with the extended straights running from the start finish line up towards Niki Lauda corner at turn number 1, and it's the run out of the sweeping right-hander uphill towards AMS AG at turn number 3, with turn number 2 being the left-hand kink, which if you're racing the MotoGP class or categories will end up being a motorcycle chicane, and that's why it's known as turn number 2 the kink, in reference to the fact that it is split into a chicane when you're racing on 2 wheels rather than 4. But as our drivers make their way through the kink of 2, they'll brake uphill into turn number 3, and that's where you can see some of the late brakers that really shine under braking into the hairpin. And as they power their way out of the corner, it's then the downhill run into turn number 4, where it's again once more on late on the brakes into turn number 4, as late as you dare, as you go into Roush corner. We're coming out and seeing the circuit change its nature. For at this point, the circuit now switches more into a sweeper formation with plenty of off-camber corners, and turns 5 into 6 starts to demonstrate that immediately with a flat-out run for the right-hander of 5, and then uphill into turn number 6. But as you make your way through the left-hander of Power Horse, you'll find that very quick the corner starts to become off-camber, and it's all about managing the potential understeer that's available. But get it right and use the track limits to your advantage. You'll then make your way in towards turn number 7 and the switch back to 8. A left into right there will once again turn number 7 downhill under braking, off-camber on entry, but flattens out on corner exit, and it's the charge flat out through turn number 8 up towards Jochen Ring corner at turn at number 9, named after, of course, the infamous Austrian Formula 1 driver. And as the drivers make their way into turn number 9, they'll look to brake for a late apex, begin an unsighted corner off camera as well at the apex, and we could see a few drivers run wide before they make their way down towards turn at number 10, the A1 Ring corner as it used to be known, in reference to the previous name given to the Red Bull Ring circuit. And as the drivers make their way through the final right-hander, they'll complete the lap to only do it all over again. It's fast, it's a very fast flying lap. In fact, while GTP is expected to deliver laps sub 1 minute 20, and the GT3 class we're looking at sub 1.5 minutes, so plenty of laps to be achieved here over the course of the racing today, and therefore we've got quite a spectacle on our hands. But coming on to our rules and regulations, we can't go racing without them, but we won't dwell on them for too long, we promise. Car setup wise, drivers are no longer permitted to change their car as the conclusion of round number 4. Indeed, if they do change their car, it's going to be a severe penalty applied. Car fuel load shall be restricted to 100% for the GTP class and 70% for the GT3 class, and qualifying wise, an open qualifying format shall be in use, lasting 30 minutes and split into 2 equal halves. The first half, or the first 15 minutes, that'll be the GTP class, our faster class, our prototypes, and then the second half will be in the GT3 category for 15 minutes as well. Drivers may not reset to the pit lane during the session. If they do at any point, if they're not in the pit lane when they conduct the reset, then they shall no longer be permitted to take part in qualifying, or they shall be disqualified to the back of the grid for the purposes of the race starts. Therefore, you have to come into the pits if you want to change tyres, or you want to change the fuel load in the car, or change a bit of the setup. You cannot simply park off circuit and make your way back to the pits via their rather unnatural teleportation, if you will. But then coming on to the wider rules for going racing, the race shall commence by a double-file rolling start within a designated green flag start zone, and when the GTP class begins their race, the GT3s must hold their formation until the GT3 leader enters the start zone and begins the race of their own. There are no mandatory pit stop requirements in this race, or indeed any of our races in the season, but given the fuel loads, we are expecting at least one pit stop from all our drivers across the classes today, and each driver has one fast repair available should they pick up any damage and need to repair it in the pits, and all race journeys shall be conducted post-race. And with regards to track limits and penalties, drivers shall receive a drive-through penalty if they accumulate 23 or more instant points, and that is a big question on the minds of drivers today, with track limits here at the Red Bull Ring being quite aggressive. It's very easy to run wide out of corners, and could we see some drive-through penalties potentially influencing the outcome of the racing? Well, all that and more still to come, but let's take you for our schedule for tonight. Times in Greenwich Mean Time, that's GMT, we're Universal Coordinate Time, UTC, and as we can see in just shy of 3 minutes from now, we're going into our qualifying session, 30 minutes in duration, and all of our drivers then making their way out into circuit in their respective classes and looking to deliver what could be a scintillating pole lap. Pole position will be critical here, however it's not going to be the essential to victory. Indeed, overtaking this circuit highly possible for the reasons we mentioned earlier, particularly when battling under braking into turns 1, 3 and 4, and also in the latter corners if drivers run wide or under pressure and make mistakes. So therefore all that to look out for, and then when we come out of qualifying, we'll be going into our race straight away. 60 minutes in duration, our one and only feature race on the schedule for today, and that will be at 8:30 this evening. So we've got an absolutely packed schedule, and it's a pleasant day today in the Red Bull Ring circuit in the fact we have an ambient temperature currently of what is 18 degrees centigrade, track temperature of 21 degrees centigrade, so this circuit nice and cool, and that means we can expect some of the best laps possible in qualifying. Indeed, all tries to give it everything in the race unless they're fuel saving, so all of that to keep your eyes out for here, and could we see some surprises today? That will be the big question. But meanwhile, as we now get set and we are only moments away from going into qualifying, here we look at one of our 2 championship leaders in the GTP Pro category, and the first one is Austin William Campbell in the 555 car. With Britain from Symphony Esports are right now joint top of the field in terms of points alongside Joshua G. Wilson, and there's nothing between them, and indeed the GTP Pro class is inseparable when it comes to its top 5 as well, with the top 5 being separated by only 10 points, which means the championship is finally points, and it could swing any which way depending on how results go today. And on top of that as well, you have to keep in mind that 2 of the biggest names in the class are not here today, as they are competing in an 8 hours of Le Mans charity race for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and that is with regards to Paul Busby and Andrew Dawson. So 2 of the Effect Simulations drivers not on the grid, and that could open up an opportunity for some drivers to really come out of left field and deliver some huge results today, as Austin William Campbell makes way towards turn number 3. He'll want to be the one who takes victory today, there's no question about it, given the fact he has been Mr. Consistent all season, and that's why he's at the top of the standings. This man parked up Joshua Wilson for Effect Simulations. He would love to take his maiden victory. He's yet to score a victory in the GTP Pro class. His teammates have done so, but he's yet to do so. And can he find a way to do so today as he leaves the car there and makes his way behind the garages? But as he looks to do so, meanwhile, we look to the GTP AM class, and here's one of your big belligerents in the class. It's Salvatore Guariento, the Italian stallion in the Mural.io Porsche 963. That Rothmans livery always shining high, and he's not currently championship leader, but he's gunning for the championship lead. The championship leader currently standing in the form of David Larson, and Guariento is only 2 points behind this man, as we do see the Symphony Esports 306 driver of David Larson making his way out of the final corner. And really the story for Larson has been much like with Austin William Campbell, keep it consistent, keep it out of danger, and Larson, to be fair, has not really been the driver who has had all the focus on him over the course of this season. And Guariento and Billy Bob Ray have really been the 2 big names, and Rob Armstrong as well, but Larson has been sneaking his way forward in the championship stands, and sometimes that's what you've got to do, stay out of the spotlight and just keep on delivering, and that's what's made you a champion. But coming from our GTPs to our GT3s, we have a new driver on the grid today in the GT3 category, and it is in the Pro class in particular. It's Jacko Taylor, or Jack Taylor as he's known by his formal name, and the TE Sims Hawker driver makes his debut in the Ferrari 296 GT3, and we look forward to seeing how he gets on. And when I had the chance to catch up with him briefly before going racing today, as oh goodness me, going into the wall a bit there, something not quite right on the car, and well, he'll get the car back to the pits and decide to get repaired immediately. When I had the opportunity to catch up with Jack in the build up to today, he said he was looking forward to going racing, a little bit nervous perhaps about the multi-class element here at the Red Bull Ring, given how quickly the prototypes come from the GT3s, particularly on the straights and also through the sweeping corners towards the end lap, turns 9 and 10, which could be some of the major contention points. But you can imagine Jack and the team will be doing everything to try and have a good start to their season. As he gets set, we look to Joshua Pratt, another TE Sim Sport driver, making his way across the line there in the number 88, as he heads uphill in the Ferrari 296. And right now, TE Sim Sport legally looking to make another great set of results today, and really they have been one of the stable teams all season at battling for those teams at championship points. But he makes his way on through. We do say hello to a good number of you in the Twitch chat who do include, but not limited to, Divide Rule there, who says howdy, and howdy to you, Divide Rule. We'll say hello to Ryan Moles there. Good evening to you, Ryan. I hope you're doing well. And also to Adrian the Great there, Adrian Kukulis, I do believe, who's absolutely hyped to go racing. Well, we're absolutely hyped here in the commentary booth. And well, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to go into qualifying. 30 minutes. Who will be your pole sitter come the end of it? Let's find out. And of course, we start off with the prototype qualifying session as it gets underway. And well, with our prototypes gradually making the way out of the pit lane already. Here's Alex Hill, one of many of the TE Copper driver, roaring his way out of the pit lane, making his way up towards turn number 3. And as he does so here, well, there's plenty of time available to get a good lap in. But let's talk a little bit about qualifying and what we can expect. Now, on paper, we have been given the opportunity to see over the course of this season that in the balance of performance for the GTP category, it does seem as though the Cadillac is the car to beat, particularly on circuits which emphasise straight line speed and acceleration zones. The Cadillac just has an advantage in the V-Series machine with the other machines such as the Acura here, alternatively the BMW M V8 Hybrid or the Porsche 963 just cannot quite beat. However, as soon as the circuit becomes a bit more technical, that's where we do get to see the Acura start to shine, and it is a car which does very well in the corners from what I've been hearing down the paddock, and that's exactly what Alex Hill will be looking to capitalise on today. Albeit I've been hearing he's not had too much opportunity to get too much practice in the build-up to today, but he's had that a couple of times, particularly at Sebring. We've got Sizzy runs very wide there, coming through turn at number 7, and I think just brings the car back on it, trying to understand where the grip levels lie, and as he brings himself back on, he won't really want to make that mistake in a hurry when he does go onto his first flying lap. So keep your eyes out for the Acuras. They could be strong towards the end of the lap, particularly once we start to see the average A-spec speed fall away and also the acceleration zone shorten. But as he makes his way on down, meanwhile the BMW M8 Hybrid, albeit we can see one here in the GTP AM class, has been piloted by Racing Lab Esports is none other than Rudy Avitzland. Well, he weaves from side to side, then gets some more tyre temperature into the car. This is a car as well that does go strong at those combination circuits, where the circuit doesn't play with regards to one particular facet, whether it be straight line speed, alternatively cornering. If you want a car that's balanced across both categories, this is the car you want to have. And the Porsche 963 also falling in that category to a degree, and we have seen some absolutely magical driving from Guariento in the Porsche 963, the only 963 on the grid. And well, as we do continue to look at Rudy Avitzland here going on to his first flying lap, it'll be interesting to see how exactly they all start to line up once they get their first and second flying laps on the board. And that second flying lap, the most important one to begin with, because that's where we start to see the cars in the optimum temperature band for the tyre, and then we start to see who is delivering the best time. And this really is one of those circuits as well, where if you don't get on the power at the right time, particularly in the opening 4 corners, if you fail to get on the power at literally the right moment and maximise your speed to the next corner, you can lose the best part of 2 tenths in each run, and that will be very costly as you make your way towards the conclusion of the lap. The latter half of the lap is more about the average apex speed, whereas the first half of the lap is the ability to rotate the car and get back on the power as soon as possible. And then wouldn't be surprised if we see a few spins today in qualifying, in the fact our drivers will be looking to wrap up those tyres, particularly the rear, what will be the rear left-hand side tyre, and get the power down as soon as possible, can at a turn 3 at AMS AG corner. And if you're a bit too eager with the loud pedal, the throttle pedal, you can end up going on around, particularly these prototype machines that have got a huge amount of power available to them, given the fact they've got their engines, mostly 8-cylinder engines, albeit the Acura being 6-cylinder, and they also have the hybrid power unit there as well. As those first times start to come in on the board, what we do see at Salzburg Guariento setting the initial pole lap in the GTP class, but immediately Avitzland going even faster on 18.765. Meanwhile, Ryan Davis there for TE Simsport doing a 17.001 in the GTP Pro category right now as he makes his way down towards turn number 4. As he charges way on through, we do say hello there to Billy Bob Ray in the Twitch chat, and he does say there, hi all, sitting on the naughty chair, and that's in reference to the fact we do have some drives with qualifying bands today, and that's Noel Killian in the GT3 AM category, and also Billy Bob Ray in the GTP AM category. We also do have a race band in effect today for Darren Norquette in the GTP Pro class, so therefore you're not going to be seeing Darren Norquette on the grid, but we'll be welcoming him back in the penultimate round of the season. That's based on shooting decisions that have been reached as of the previous round at Monza, so therefore a couple of drivers that definitely have got the hard job to do today, and we can imagine for Billy Bob right now as he's sat there in the pit lane just watching, he'll be looking to see where the pace is coming from, who the drivers are going to be and engaging based on his practice going into tonight, where his pace sits and what he can do in order to make his way through. But keep in mind, he'll be starting from the back of his classes field in terms of the car class, starting at the back of the GTPs, not from behind the GT3s, and that being done of course for the purposes of safety, because at the end of the day we love to see GTPs cutting the way through GT3s, but we want to see them all racing in their respective class at the start, and then the multi Multiclass element naturally comes in with the GTP cars start to catch up the GT3s. But as we make our way towards the end of the first 5 minutes of this qualifying session, more time starting to come in from our drivers already. And what we do see is Anthony making his way up towards turn number 3 right now. On the brakes he goes in the Cadillac. And I did have the opportunity to catch up with Sai as well in the build-up to tonight. In fact, I caught him just as he was about to get into the car and go into the practice session. And he was saying to me with regards to the build-up to today, is he's not expecting too much from this round, but he's hoping if he plays it conservatively, he may be able to pick up a few places if there are some instances between GTPs and GT3s. And that's the one thing that's on a lot of drivers' mind. When I did have the opportunity to listen to some conversations between the GT3 drivers, that's been the big thing on their mind all week, is the fact this circuit is very tight when it comes to multi-class racing action, with the only real places to be able to make those switches of position between the GTPs and GT3s being on the first half lap. And as soon as you move into the second half of the lap, it's almost as if the entire field suddenly shrinks into a one-line formation going around here. But of course the GTPs are not going to wait, as we do see there Sai Anthony making a very late call to come into the pit, almost running deep and wide, but managing to just get it into the pit lane in time. And I think that may be a call there, recognising there might be an opportunity to go even faster. Currently 6.5 tenths off a pole position and getting beyond the pit limiter line, and that's when he can then jump to the pits if he so desires, rather than driving the car along. And then he makes his way out, and it is a small time save there, and every second valuable. But as we look to Rob Armstrong here in the number 45 Acura, making his way out wide, they're coming out of turn number 4. Oh, goodness me. And I believe that was Joshua Wilson almost following him, literally in the footsteps of the Acura driver. And Wilson right now, well, I can tell you one thing, I think he's seen this as his golden opportunity today to go for pole position in the GTP Pro and overall category, getting the fact at 16.157, looking very good there as he makes his way on through what is turns 7 and 8. As he makes his way up towards 9 here, can anybody respond for the Effect Simulations driver? And he comes on through out the right-hander here, right now keeping it nice. Oh, goodness me, I was going to say keeping it nice and smooth, and then the rear of the car kicking loose, and as he tries to corrective steer it, it only ends up going the other way. It's very easy to make that mistake, to be fair. Wilson does not need to be ashamed of that one. Indeed, many a driver has done it. I've even done it in simulators in the past as well, and many drivers in the real world do it, just taking a bit too much speed into turn number 9, and it upsets the rear balance of the car. But he brings it on in there. 9 of the tyres will be flat spotted from that slide, decides to put on a new set of boots and immediately get the car back out there. But meanwhile, looking from him to Ollie Pimley, as we do see the Cadillac driver here, currently P4 in the GTP AM class, coming on through power horse, called out turn at number 6 in reference to the massive monument near the circuit. And as he comes down into turn at number 7, currently 1.1 seconds of a worry into his pole time in the class, and therefore looking for a bit more time out there before all is said and done, and heading on through the corners right now and getting all set up here to go on to another lap. And as he comes up through the right-hander and down towards turn number 10, we're going to be jumping on board very shortly with Ollie Pimley for a flying lap of the Red Bull Ring circuit, and here we go. Making his way out of the final quarter, flat out to the line as he heads up towards turn number 1, holding in 6th gear now as he brings it over to the left-hand side, looks for his brake marker and braking it just after the 100 metres, about 80 minutes corner apex, down 3 gears to 3rd, and now immediately back on the power. That transition from braking to turn into throttle, absolutely seamlessly, now charges his way up towards turn number 3 as he heads towards the braking zone, brings the guy over to the left-hand side, opens up the corner as much as possible, and braking out 75 minutes of corner apex, down to 1st gear, back on the power as he rotates through there, trying to brake as late as possible using the uphill nature of the braking zone in order to shorten the distance to the apex as he makes his way down towards turn at number 4, building up the speed and having a brake early here as it's downhill and braking about 110 metres from corner apex down to 2nd gear, nice and tight initially, goes for an early apex there. You can see that actually pushes the car out wide and therefore prevents him from getting back on the throttle as much as he would like. Now coming in towards turn number 6, braking at the 50, and as he comes through the left hand, and notice they're very sensitive on the throttle, lets the car feed through the corner before he builds up the power, now into 7, drops to 4th gear and then builds up the throttle immediately on the apex curve, straight line down to turn number 8, and now up the rise he goes towards Jochen Ring corner at turn number 9 as he looks to his left hand side for what will be the 50 metre board here, braking just at it as he drops 2 gears to 4th, missed the apex slightly but it's still good speed carrying through the corner into turn number 10, and the exit now, what's it going to be for Pimley this time around as he crosses the timeline? Does he improve or does he stay where he currently is? I think it's going to be the latter. He does not improve, stays P4 in the GT AM class, and that's currently worth P12 overall as he makes his way up towards turn number 3. But as he does so, well, let's show you those overall positions on the left-hand side of your screen, and there you can see that currently the highest placed GT AM driver is P8 overall, and that's Salvatore Guariento there, And well, to keep you in the frame of perspective, the only driver in the GTP Pro class in this qualifying session who has not been able to stay with the pack is Alexander Truno-Mikkelsen, as we do look to Robert Armstrong, who sees his pole position there provisionally in the GTP AM category on a 1:17.658, and that's an absolutely staggering, only 3 thousandths faster than Guariento, and these two 1.5 seconds off of the pole time set by Wilson overall. I mean, that is incredible right now, the fact that we do have GTP AM pole sitters there who are in their own little battle with 2 attempts to what is Doble behind John Doble, who's back on the grid. Once again, very happy to see John Doble really trying to push on here for a win of his own. But right now, as we look to them and back from them to Alexander Truno-Mikkelsen, we mentioned 8 minutes ago, he's currently the sole GTP Pro driver who's not within his group, if you will, in this qualifying session. In fact, you can see the top 8 of the GTP Pro class, P1 through to P8 overall, and then Truno-Mikkelsen being the anomaly here, P11 overall. So you have Armstrong Guariento between him and his peers should the qualifying session end immediately right now, and he'll be looking to find a bit more time before all is said and done. Where can he find the time? That's the question, given the fact he's got to slash an 8/10 of a second deficit to try and take a position over Joe Newman. And well, considering the fact as well, it's the best part of half a second to Ollie Pimley, who has jumped to the pole position set of what is the GTP AM class right now, and was a phenomenal lap there. As we show you the class standings once again, it's a 1:17.278 for Pimley, and as these times continue to come on through, well, right now it definitely does look as though Pimley feeling confident in the car, and I think right now this track evolving in the favour of so many drivers with regards to the fact that the later you go out there, the more lively the track becomes. And well, speaking of weather conditions and track conditions, as we can see here, that track temperature still holding at 21 degrees centigrade. It's not advancing, so therefore this circuit should bring more and more life into it as rubber's being laid down here. And now our drivers can really start to push on with the final 4 minutes of this GTP qualifying session, as we do see Pimley running a bit deep. They're coming out of 17 to 8, kicking up some dust, and that will gradually drift across the circuit. That may cause some drivers to lose a little bit of time coming out of turn number 8 on towards 9. And when he makes his way, he decides to come in to the pits here. He's decided enough's enough and makes his way on through, and I think understandable, perhaps deciding to just take a bit of a breather and then get himself set for the final part of this qualifying session, given the fact right now he's definitely looking to be the man to beat in the GTP AM class. But meanwhile, this man continues to push on, as off camera we have heard that John Doble has been able to set 17.749. That puts him back in the P4 in the GTP AM class and puts in the best part of a 10th of a Guariento's P3 time in that class. But Wilson right now still 2.5 tenths clear what anybody else has been able to achieve, as he makes his way out to turn 7-8. He's currently gone the fastest of everybody in the middle sector, so now it's all about his final 2 corners here as he comes on through the double right and 9 into 10. He'll absolutely blast it through them, trying to use those track limits as much as possible. You can see they're trying to run as wide as he dares to dream to do so. And as he heads the line, what's it going to be this time from Wilson? Is it improvement? Not quite. It's still 3 thousandths off of, in fact 3 hundredths I should say, off of what he's previously been able to achieve. But Wilson knowing there is time out there, there could be a 10th or 2 still to be gained. Could we even see a 15.9 potentially today? Well, I think that might be ambitious, but still everybody would love to achieve that. But right now Wilson definitely trying to push for a 16.0 before we see the death of this qualifying session. But he comes out to turn at number 3. He has got a car in front of him now. He may be able to gather a little bit of a distant toe, or will he be able to? That's the question. Will he be on a bit of a cooldown lap now, given the fact they normally do have 2 laps worth of battery when they go full attack power, but then they've got to try and recharge the battery over the course of their respective cooldown laps. But meanwhile, this is a man who's not cooling down. If anything, it's hotting up. He's currently P2 in the GTP Pro category. It is Austin William Campbell, and he's 2.5 tenths off. He's set a personal best in Sector 1, a personal best in Sector 2, and as he comes on through towards the end of Sector 3, what's it going to be here? Will it be enough for pole position? He crosses the line, and as we get the timings updated here, it's going to be its provisional pole. It's a 16.078, and that is 8 hundredths faster than Wilson's pole time. Austin William Campbell responds here. Now, can Wilson respond? Right to the end, he comes up through the final corner. He's improved in Sector 1, but not in Sector 2, so the improvement we saw last time is not there. Can Wilson strike back immediately? Well, as we see there, he does not, and therefore it's Austin William Campbell who now holds the cards in his favour. Meanwhile, in the GTP AM class, it's still Ollie Pimley who holds onto that provisional pole position. 1.5 minutes still here. And these drivers absolutely now going to the maximum they possibly can. They know they've got to throw everything at this if they weren't doing so before. Now they've got to give that 100%, as we see Newman coming through the final corner. Runs a bit wide there as he brings the car back together, and I believe that might have been a lap to remember in the fact he's moved to P4 on a 16.531. Normally when you're running that wide out the final corner, you've either done it right or you've done something very, very wrong. But for Newman, he's done it absolutely right. And another driver when I spoke to him, much like Cy Anti, just looking to see how the dice fall today. stay and looking to pick up places by being calm, considerate and collected in his racing as he makes his way up towards turn number 3. But as he does so, Ryan Davies leaving the pit lane. I'm not sure if he's going to have enough time, given the fact there's less than a minute to go, and the lap time around here to get an outlap it is about 1 minute 25. So therefore, I think for Ryan Davies, it may be a bit of a fruitless endeavour right now. But meanwhile, we do look to Cy Anthony as he comes on through the final corner, and he heads in towards what is the start-finish line. He goes onto his final flying lap. Does he improve this time? No, he's going to wait for the final one. But meanwhile, the man who's gone purple in Sector 1 is Joe Newman. He's on a charge right now. Hasn't improved in Sector 2, but he's very close to his previous best. This still could be a bit of one-lap magic here right at the end. He only needs half attempt to get himself ahead of Ryan Davies to get himself to P3 on the grid. And as he makes his way in towards turn number 9, which is going to be these last two corners that make or break the lap, he's not going to have time for another one as he comes up through the right under turn number 10, looking very smooth. He runs very wide out the final corner. He heads the line and Newman crosses it, and well, I believe that might be an invalidated lap for Newman, and it is indeed. It's not valid, and that means it will be P4 at Bestrom as the GT3s are leaving the pit lane. But let's hold the fort in the GT3s right now. We've still got GTPs out there, ladies and gentlemen, all on laps, including at Ryan Davies, currently P3 in the GT3 Pro class. Can he find a way to go a little bit more as he makes his way on through? I don't think so here. He's down in Sector 1, he's down in Sector 2, he's down overall. Sam Sheldon will cross the line. He jumps to P6 at a Cy Anthony of 16.742. Salvatore Guarento across the line does not improve from P3 in the GTP AM class. And with that, that is what is the GTP qualifying session done. And it's Austin William Campbell who takes the pole position overall in the GTP Pro class. Meanwhile, in the AM class, it is Ollie Pimley who takes a surprise pole position and nobody able to pip the gap of what was 2.5 tenths in the end. Well, my goodness, they saved the best for last. And we see there Joshua Wilson in the Twitch chat saying it went deep at turn 7, was on for a 15.99. And well, that would have been an absolutely phenomenal lap to see. But still at the same time, Josh, we look forward to seeing how you bounce back when we do go green flag racing, given the fact it's going to look very close between yourself and Austin William Campbell at the front of the field. But now we move on to the GT3 qualifying session, and well, what can we expect here? Well, firstly, it is going to be interesting to see how the balance performance between the cars in the GT3 class really shines, given the fact this is not a straight line speed circuit, even though the first half is really focused on power, and that's where cars such as the Porsche 992 may struggle by comparison with, say, the Ferrari 296 or the BMW M4 in the latter half of the lap, where cornering capability becomes more important. That's where we expect the Porsches and also the Audi R8, of which we always do have that one Audi in the capable hands here of the privateer of Jack Barker, and as he makes his way on through, getting a bit of tyre temperature in as well. So we are expecting there to be this unique contrast between the cars. On paper, the BMW M4 is the car to be, given the fact it does have that power advantage in the first half of the lap, and it can use that power advantage to get ahead and hold track position in the latter half of the lap. But then again, it would be incorrect to assume it'll be a BMW on pole in each of the classes here, and it's going to be very wide open when it comes to the qualifying, much like in the GTP class, in the fact we do have on overall pole an Acura, and on GTP and pole it is a Cadillac, and not too far behind being a Acura and also a Porsche. So therefore it's all to play for here, and it comes down just as much to the driver and the setup on the car as it does the car itself, and how the balance performance favours or does not favour it for a given circuit. But as we do look to hold the starters here right now, really the man to beat when it comes going green flag racing in the GT3 Pro class, in the fact in digging deep to secure third last time out at Monza. He stands 32 points clear of the rest of the field. Will be drop scores yet to be fully applied. They will be towards the very end of the season. I believe they may be, in fact, as of next week's round of racing. We'll give you an update on that when we can. But right now, this is the man you've got to beat in the GT Pro class if you want to become champion, as he is definitely on his way to becoming GT3 Pro champion. And in the GT3 AM class, well, it is Mark Kolokov who is the man to beat, as we do see here the DCW Racing with AI Race Summary's driver making his way on through turn of 9 in towards 10. His closest rival being Nicholas Rice, who's given pursuit, but that gap currently standing at what is 25 points, and Kolokov really right now trying to enshrine his name into the history books with rounds to spare if he can. He can't take the crown today, we should point out, but if he gets a win today, it definitely will be looking favourable going into the penultimate round, and he could effectively wrap things up with a round to spare. But as he makes his way up towards turn number 3 right now, charges his way on through. We've still got plenty of time left in this section, and laps are starting to come for our drivers, albeit it does look as though GT3 Pros and the majority of drivers have got the laps in early. But meanwhile, as we do look to Lawrence Marsh in one of the two Golf machines for Downforce Racing, behind Kerry F. Corin, the two Porsche 992 drivers there following up one another on around the circuit, and I think in doing so, we'll be quite confident here that they are able to gain a tow for one another, and they'll try to mitigate that weakness of the Porsche in the first half of the lap, and then they'll try and give a bit of space. We've got a car pointing the wrong way there, and I believe that's Nicholas Rice who gets himself back together. Oh, goodness me, and well manages to avoid any potential contact with drivers. Very nicely done there from Rice, but what exactly happened? Here's a replay. So losing the rear of the car, they're trying to get the power down out of frame. Remember, we said earlier, if there's going to be a corner where you're going to see drivers spin today, it is turn 3, and just a little bit eager with the throttle pedal there as he tried to rotate the car through the corner. Understandable error, and well, as we return to your live pictures now, ladies and gentlemen, Rice getting himself set, and one of those drivers is definitely looking to try and bring Collicott back down to earth before Collicott starts to ascend towards that Heavenly Championship ground. But he makes his way through turn number 7 first. He's got to try and get the car on around here and make sure to get a solid lap on the board. But as he does try to do so, we look to this man, debutant of Jack Taylor, as he comes out to turn number 1 and up towards 3 he goes, and currently sets the fastest lap of the GT3, and that being up there, what is a 1:28.57 to the nearest 100. Looking good so far, but Reece Saunders immediately responds there on a 1:28.475, a tenth faster. And it's been some time since we've seen this man of Reece Saunders, the Team Year 1 driver on the grid. But it's great to see him back in full action today. And well, we can tell you one thing, he is one of those drivers out there. If he's not able to win a race on pace, he magically gets there on strategy, and you only have to cast your mind back to season 11 of the GT3 League to see those times when Saunders completely mesmerised the field by taking a lot less fuel in the pits, but still having enough fuel to get to the end of the race, and also being able to run the car at fast pace in terms of not backing off, not looking to fuel save. And Saunders right now could be the driver who really throws a spanner in the works for everybody else around. In fact, as he comes down towards turn number 4, he's a very difficult driver to beat when he's in the zone. But as he comes on through turn number 4 and up towards 6 he goes. Meanwhile, we look from him to Peter Cox, making his way on down towards turn number 4, and coming on down here, we're looking as though right now the Porsche 992 driver still trying to find a little bit more time as he comes in towards the right hand, trying to find a bit more heat in the tyres, and definitely right now just building up. He has got the time, to be fair, to play with it. It's not though he has to rush this qualifying session, but at the same time is gradually fading away. 9 minutes left on the clock now for our GT3 driver, so he hasn't got all the time in the world, and that may just start to haunt him very gradually as Eric Rosev now takes the overall pole position in the GT3 Pro class, as we show you those overall positions relative to the front of the field in terms of all classes combined together. And as you can see right now, it is a top 5 of GT3s. So all GT3 Pros, they're 15th through to 19th on the overall grid. And then we do have Mark Collicott, who's the first one to sandwich his way in, P20 overall currently, with then will be Adrian Kukulas behind him. But right now, Eric Rosev really delivering the lap time. 28.44 is the mark now to beat, set by Rosev and the Norwegian driver in the number 1 car. Definitely looking to have a last gasp at defending that championship crown, or the right to wear the number 1 as GT3 champion from season 11 the GT3 League. And as he makes his way down through turn at number 4, well, right now can he find a bit more time out there to try and make that pole lap unreachable for his counterparts? Well, we'll have to see as he gets ready to make his way down through turn at number 6. And I think on a build-up lap here, just gradually getting the car through, not looking too fast as he comes on down. And I think just bringing up the car on around it, getting himself all set up and ready to go. But as he does so, we take you back to those class positions on the left-hand side of your screen. And well, from that Rosev, we do look to what is none other than, I do believe, the car of Andy Skinner. But coming on through turn number 10, a bit of a slow run out of turn number 10 there. And I think Skinner, no time on the board at the moment. He's on an out lap. He goes into his first flying lap. I think Fitness has a bit more time out there. Speaking of time, Arona Shatatas takes provisional pole position. GT3 Pro is a 28.374. He is 700 faster than Eric Rosev. And Rosev in the pit lane currently, car being worked on and leaving the pits immediately, so deciding to tweak something in the car, put some more fuel in, and then go racing it once again in terms of the qualifying session. But from that then back to what is Adrian Kukulas here, as we do look to the driver making his way up towards turn number 3, and he does so going very slowly there, and I think just warming the car right now, cooling it down. In fact, perhaps just taking it nice and easy, getting some space. He's just got to be wary of the fact he does have some other drivers coming around near him, and they'll all be looking very shortly to try and put in flying laps. And speaking of one of which is trying to put in a flying lap right now, this is Nicholas Rice, and as he dances his way through turn 19 to 10, he's currently looking quite fast here, P2 GT3 AM, but can he go a bit faster as he comes across the timeline? Well, let's ride on board and find out as we bring you an onboard lap. as he makes his way up towards turn number 1. He goes British pole and heading into the opening braking zone, braking 80 metres from corner apex down to second gear, and immediately plants his foot on the throttle as he makes his way over the sausage curb and powers his way up towards turn number 3. Now the Ferrari here, fast on the straights, not as fast as the BMW, but does extremely well in the tow. And as he makes his way up towards turn number 3, we know to his left-hand side and braking at the 100 metre board all the way down to first gear, turns in very early, using the sausage curve on the front right tyre to unsettle the car and rotates it additionally onto the natural rotation of the car. Bit of a gamble there. If you hit that curve incorrectly, it will kick the car around, but Wright's getting it just right there. And as he makes his way down towards turn number 4, onto the brakes here, braking 125 metres of corner apex, second gear. But look how tight on that apex is, and it gives you so much rotation as he rides over the curve through 5 and up towards 6 and bringing it into left-hander. 50 metre board being the marker for the GT3s as he comes on through, wait for it, and full throttle now as he comes out the corner, lets it run out wide and then in towards turn number 7 here, avoiding the car on the inside, that being Kukulas, who avoiding being on the racing surface and coming through 8, right flat out here, all the way up towards turn number 9 and in towards next braking zone, and braking a little bit earlier compared to GTP's due to lack of downforce, braking about 70 metres from corner apex down to third gear, double downshift as he comes out of the corner, heading in towards turn number 10 and rolling his way through. It's a very fast lap from Rice. He's gone purple in sector 1, personal best sector 2, and as he comes to line from Rice, it's currently pole position for Rice, and will it be even faster? Well, as he comes to through, it is even faster at 28.788, a phenomenal lap from Rice, and well, you can understand why he's calling the car down there immediately. He feels as though he's got the job done. Collicott is on an outlap right now, but that is 1/10 to Collicott, and right now Rice, the man in charge in the GT3 AM class. Can Collicott respond, or will we see Rice today take that pole position and sweep away a little bit of momentum from the Porsche 992 driver? Well, we'll have to wait and see, but meanwhile, speaking of Porsches on pole, it's currently British pole for Aldous Jotatas in the GT3 Pro and overall classification. We're 28.374. He's on an outlap right now and looking to go even faster in this Porsche. To be fair, if you can carry the speed through the corners, its straight line speed deficit is not as marked as perhaps it would be, because you can carry an extra 2 to 3 miles an hour compared to your rivals, but you have to be absolutely committed when driving the Porsche, given the fact it's mid-engine rear-wheel drive, as many would say, but actually it's rear-engine rear-wheel drive with the engine being located over the rear axle of the car, the unique trait of the Porsche machinery, of course, and their staple of their racing cars, as he makes his way down for the left-hander turn number 6 into 7. Indeed, the only modern racing Porsche that you will have seen that doesn't comply to that theory is the Porsche 911 RSR GTE, which has been retired as the conclusion of GTE classified racing come at the end of this year, where the engine located in fact in front of the rear axle when it comes to the front of the car, and therefore fitting into the mid-engine and rear-wheel drive category by comparison. But right now, engine fully over that rear axle as he makes his way down in towards turn number 10, and the number 56 driver getting ready to go on to another lap. And what can he do at this time around? Can he go even faster than Eric Brozdev and raise that bar even higher? It's currently 700ths between the two of them, and 700ths is nothing. It's negligible when the margins are this close. But I say that, but at the same time, every thousandth matters. A bit of a contradiction there, but the point being right now that Jotatas cannot sit on his laurels. He cannot have faith that he's done enough. In fact, the Lithuanian driver here would want at least a 10th. A 10th is more in the books. It pushes your rivals to even go harder. It pushes them into a zone they don't want to be. It makes them feel uncomfortable in qualifying, and that's the idea. You want to make sure that pole lap is as far away from your rivals as it can be, as he makes his way down towards turn number 4. But as he does so, we look to Jack Barker, the sole Audi R8 GT3 LMS, soon to be upgraded to the Audi R8 Evo 2 GT3 as of the December update on iRacing. We've had confirmation recently when the 2024 Season 1 update comes, so we won't be running the 2015 machine for much longer. But right now, Barker keeping the historical machine alive as he makes it out the final points, currently P10 in class. Can he go even faster here? Can he perhaps jump a little bit further up the order, given it's only a 10? Tabashuk in P8. We jumped ahead of Davis. He'll move up to P9 there and ahead of Davis by 200 as he crosses the line. As we show you those overall positions again, we can definitely see right now the top 5 of the GT3 class, all GT3 pros there, Jotatas, Roses, Saunders, Meyer and Taylor. And then we do have behind then Wes Gustad, and we'll heck on Gustad here, the Ignition Motorsport Ferrari 296 driver wraps up 6 GT3 pros ahead of your provisional pole sitter of the GT3 class, Nicholas Rice currently. So we definitely do have a bit of an intermingling between the two classes of the pros and AMs and the GT3s, but we also do have a distinct group of pros who are trying to top out the standings, and well, that's always great to see there. That could lead to quite some ferocious racing when we head into turns 1 and 3 on that opening lap. But as we do, look to Gustad making his way in towards turn number 4 right now, as Reece Saunders stalking him at a distance there. And I think Saunders using this as an opportunity to get slipstream as he makes his way through turn at number 4. And again, slipstream can prove quite important here at the Red Bull Ring, particularly on the opening half a lap. But it's where you come to turn number 6, which the two drivers are making their way into now. If you're too close here, this is where the lap starts to be disrupted in terms of that dirty air and the understeering folks in the car. And as they make their way through turn at number 7, Saunders will prepare for that. He'll know he's got to brake a little bit early and turn in prematurely for the corners. But meanwhile, one driver here making his way through the final corner. And as he comes on through, it's personal best sector 1, same as sector 2. Can he improve in sector 3? It's Eric Rose if he crosses the line. And will he be able to find a way? He does. He moves to pole position. The GT Pro class is a 28.244. And what that means in literal terms is it's 1.3 tenths ahead of Jotatis' time. So Rosev leaving it late as he can. He's on one more lap now as he heads on around. And as he heads up towards turn at number 3, this time, will he commit to another lap? Or will feel as though he's done enough? I think he's got to commit here because Jotatis could bring some surprises. Speaking of the over limit racing driver, he's heading on through turn number 9 to 10. He's not improving this time around, but he will have one more gasp at this. And as he comes on through it, meanwhile, Nicholas Rice is in the pit lane. Rice feels as though he's done enough. And well, that means it's Collicott who's now got to try and take the initiative right at the end. As Jotatis crosses the line, and he takes pole position by 2 thousandths over Rosev. So the two of them swinging back and forth. It's like two boxes in the ring right now, both trying to land a knockout blow for that pole position, but neither one is able to do it. And Jotatis right now by a fractional margin moving into pole. Can Rosev respond here? He'll only be told about this as he is midway through the lap, and therefore Rosev right now, I think he'll feel as though he wasn't safe with that pole position, but can he respond as he goes a bit deep into 7, just missing the apex slightly? And well, unless he can bring that momentum together, Collicott across the line, he does not improve, so it will be Rice on pole for the GT3 AM class, I do believe, unless anybody can spring some late surprise here as the clock has struck 30 minutes. This qualifying session is now the checker flag, and Rosev comes in. It means that Jotatis once again sneaks a pole position when it looked as though it was going the way of another driver, unless Anders Meyer or Peter Cox can spring a surprise here. That is the GT3 Pro qualifying session complete, and Jotatis will take it by the tiniest margin, in fact the smallest margin we have seen pole in the GT3 categories go all season. 2 thousandths there between the Porsche and the Ferrari driver, and it is Jotatis who takes it in the end. But meanwhile, in the AM category, well, Matt Edmondson right now, he's the last AM out there on a flying lap. He's going to try and improve from P4, albeit this is one of his best qualifying performances in recent rounds. It does seem as though the Ferrari drives back on form for UK Sim Racing as he comes on down through turn number 9 into 10. He decides to abort and come into the pit, so P4 will be the best he gets in the class, but still, that's a great achievement there. 2 tenths over Johnson's time, and therefore he'll be targeting the bottom step of the podium as a minimum. But everyone's into the pits, ladies and gentlemen. That is qualifying complete, and what a qualifying session we have had. So to reiterate, on the overall pole position, it is Austin William Campbell for GTP Pro pole as well. GTP and pole will go to Ollie Pimley, P10 on the grid. Then it will be Haroldus Jotatis who takes GT3 Pro pole, P15 on the overall grid. And then GT3 and pole goes to Nicholas Rice ahead of Collicott, P21, P22 for the two of them. Overall there, it could not have been closer between our classes drivers, whichever way you look, particularly GTP Pro and GT3 Pro. And therefore we have got an absolute cracker of a race to come, and we are only moments away from heading to the grid, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, if you haven't got yourself some liquid refreshment, you need to have that toilet break, do it quickly. We are only about a minute and a half away from going green flag racing with the rolling start procedure. And I'll tell you one thing, you won't want to miss this as we transition to the grid, and this is how they'll line up for round number 8 of the UK Sim Racing GT3 GTP Multiclass League Season 1. It is Austin William Campbell for Symphony Esports who takes pole position. On the front row, he is joined on the GTP Pro class by Joshua G. Wilson for Effect Simulations. Ryan Davis starts P3 for Tiki Simsport with Empire Motorsports Joe Newman alongside, and it's Jonathan Hitchin for Symphony Esports and Sam Sherwood for Protect Motorsport who make up row number 6. Row number 3, I should say. Row number 4 goes to Cy Anti, the privateer, who's joined by Alex Hill for Tiki Simsport Corpa, and then on row number 5 to complete the top 10, it's Alexander Trino McAlsen for Iron Racing Lab Esports Moza, and Ollie Pemley, your GTP and pole sitter for DY13 Racing. Rob Armstrong for UK Sim Racing Bell lines up P11 on the grid, joined by Salvatore Guariento on the 6th row, P12 for Mural.io, and then we can see on row number 7 it's John Doe of Tiki Simsport Corpa and Rudy Avitston for Race Lab Esports KTM. Billy Bob Ray lines up P15 there, no qualifying time permitted, and David Larson the same, not putting the time on the board, so they'll be starting on your 8th row of the grid and completing all the GTPs, with Haroldus Jotatis then following on through. And here's your pole sitter for the GT3s overall and the GT3 Pro category as well. P17 for Over Limit Racing, joined on the 9th row of the grid by Eric Rozev there for RaceLab Esports KTM. 2,000ths between the two of them, incredible. Then completing at the top 20, Reece Saunders for Team Year 1 and Anders Meyer for RaceLab Esports Moza, with row number 11 going to Jack Taylor on his debut for TE Simsport Hawker, and he is joined on the 11th row of the grid by Hekon Gristan for Ignium Motorsport. Then it's your GT3 AM pole sitter of Nicholas Rice, who makes it a 1-2 P23, P24 there for the AM class. The Dirty Ice Racing drive being joined by his main rival and championship leader Mark Collicott for AI Racing and his DCW Racing. Behind them on row number 13 is Peter Cox for UK Sim Racing Hill and Adrian Kukulas for Shore Competition Esports, and then they will have the company of Mark Johnson for UK Sim Racing Mansell and Joshua Pratt for TE Simsport P27, P28. Top 30 is completed by Matt Edmondson for UK Sim Racing Hill and RaceLab Esports Car X's Stein Arsani, with row number 16 going to James Conley for UK Sim Racing Hill and Lawrence Marsh for Downforce Racing. And then row 17 is Jack Barker of the Privateer and Thomas Barjak, fellow Privateer there, followed up by P35 John Davis of the Wrong Stuff and Simon Hartley for Tiki Simsport Toa. And then we have behind them on a row what is number 19 to complete the grid, P37, P38, the combination of Kerry F. Kokorin for Downforce Racing and Andy Skinner for Tiki Simsport. So 38 drivers, and we are only months away from going green flag racing, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, as our drivers make the way on through, we have got the GTPs already heading down towards the last couple of quarters, and well, as we refresh our overlay there to get the circuit map back, it's decided to get shy. No time for the circuit map to be shy. It's to Austin William Campbell to take us to the green flag for 60 minutes of racing there at the Red Bull Ring in round 8 of 10. It's lights out and away we go for 60 minutes of racing here at the Red Bull Ring, and Austin William Campbell leaves it quite early in the day as they make their way out towards turn number 1, and as they charge their way uphill, it's going to be Davis on the inside here, but look behind, you can see Newman and Hitchin sharing the real estate for the opening corner, and it's going to be Newman who gets ahead as they make their way through the corner and out towards turn number 3 they go. They roll the way uphill. We now look to the GT3 leaders as they start their race, and as Geraldo Chatatas heads to the start zone here, will he go early, will he go late? We're waiting to see. And he goes as late as he can there, but just catches Rozev out to a degree, and as a result, that is going to cause Eric Rozev to have Anders Meyer pushing him along as they make the way up the hill towards turn number 1. They charge way in towards the braking zone, and Reece Saunders on the inside manages to get ahead of Anders Meyer as they come out the corner. So Meyer's start being very strong, but boxed in by his teammate, and Reece Saunders making sure not to waste any opportunity as they make the way up the hill. And Joshua Pratt right now trying to chase after Peter Cox in the battle for what is their P8 in the class as they make the way up the hill into the braking zone. But as they do in the foreground of the camera, that's Meyer up the inside of what is Reece Saunders. They come on through, and as they do right now, Anders Meyer gets the place back as they charge their way in towards turn number 4, heading on down towards the braking zone they go. Our GT3 drives right now very nip and tuck as they make the way in towards the next heavy braking zone, and meanwhile at the front of the field, this is Chatatas who's going to defend versus Rozev as they come on down through the right-hander, and as they do, the over limit racing driver definitely making sure to park the car on apex and keep himself safe, but Rozev's not done yet as they make the way in towards turn number 6, and Chatatas having to go defensive every corner right now, and this is going to hurt him early on in the stage where he wants to get the tyres up to temperature, in the fact that right now he's being made to overwork the tyres very early in the day as they come up through the left-hander of turn number 7 into 8 now, and right now Chatatas holding on, but for how long can he hold on as they make, oh goodness me, and into the wall in the rear of the picture of that. I think that's Rice. I think Rice has hit the wall. We'll have to get an update on what's exactly happened there, but it's gone very wrong for one driver in the rear of the picture. But meanwhile, we've been focusing on our GT3s. We come back to our GTPs here as they make the way down on lap number 2 already. Such are the laps and how quickly they cover them, and Jonathan Hitchin here already trying to battle his way past Sam Sherwood, losing the place early on after fighting with what was Joe Newman. In fact, Ryan Davis has lost the place to Newman as well. Newman on a mission to gain places at the start of this race, and we have a quick replay as to how Newman got his way past Davies at the start. Well, this is on lap number 1, up into turn 3 they went, and you can see there, Davies going wide in with Newman trying to psych him out into thinking the pass was coming, and it worked. And on top of that as well, notice how Jonathan Hitchin made a mistake there under braking, the car coming in too tight, and as a result losing some time as they made the way on through, and that is how Sam Sherwood managed to get ahead of Jonathan Hitchin there. So a mistake being made by Davis and Hitchin, and Newman and Sherwood being able to gain the place in return, but now Newman going slowly. That's a slowdown for track limits on the exit of the final corner, and as a result Hitchin looking around the outside, but there's contact contact between the two of them. Slight anti there takes space action, not without a scrape to the side of the car. Hitching gets the car pointed back in the right direction, but Slight anti not happy with that. In the fact, there's been an instant as they make their way up towards turn number 3. We return right at the close of that moment, and as they make their way up the hill, already they're intersecting now with the GT3 class, the drivers who were a bit stragglers after instants early on. Speaking of which, we have an instant regarding Nicholas Rice we need to take a look back at, ladies and gentlemen. We haven't forgot, and well, we will take a look back at that very shortly. But meanwhile, Salvatore Guariento, he's lost out considerably since the start of this race as well. In fact, down to P6 in the GTP AM class, as we see that on the standings right now. Really not in a strong position to start this race. He's dropped a long way down the order, and there's a story to be told there in regards to how Guariento's race has begun. We'll try and get you an update on what happened there shortly. He's got Lowerson for company behind and Avitson in front. So right now, Guariento in good company, but the problem is this isn't the company he wants. He wants to be batting for the podium and not the win. He's looking up the inside in on Avitson into turn number 6 through Power Horse they go. Well, I think this is going to be a foregone conclusion. Once you've got the inside into 6, surely you've got it done. Guariento will be thinking that, and he does exactly that as he tears away now and makes his way up towards turn number 8. One place gain. Next up is Rob Armstrong, who's had an absolute nightmare run through turn 7 into 8. So Armstrong going slowly, Guariento on the inside. Armstrong steering clear. No, there's all dirt on the tyres, and therefore he's not got any grip available. And as they come down to the braking zone, I think Armstrong's got a problem with the car. He's going very slow into turn number 10. He brings it back together. But look at this, Larson right now coming along fully alongside. It's the battle of the two of them as they make their way in towards turn number 1. Onto the brakes they go, and Armstrong here, the car is limping. I think there's a bit more to this than meets the eye, and either way, right now Armstrong falling down the order like a stone, and it's not what anybody wants to see. But meanwhile, one thing we do want to see is Hakon Gristad versus Reece Saunders. They come through turn number 6 in towards turn number 7. We jump on board here with the EQ Motorsport drivers. He comes and through the left-hander of turn number 7. It's the battle of the two Ferraris and the battle of two drivers who contested the season 11 GT3 Championship alongside what was none other than Eric Rosa, who was the champion in the end, and Gristad and Saunders. They go a long way back, these two. It's a friendly rivalry between them, but I can tell you one thing, both an equal machinery, and both will fancy their chances of getting one up over the other. But it's Gristad who chases right now, with Saunders leading in this mini battle for P4 in the GT3 Pro class. They make them across the time, and Rosa sets the fastest lap in the class of a 29.011. Keep in mind they're going on to lap number 4 of their respective race, but as they come through the right-hander of turn number 1, we'll make the way through. And right now, Gristad too far back to really capitalise, but can he go for the move into turn number 3? He'll feel as though the speed is building now, little by little. He inches closer and closer and closer. Can he go to the inside here? Attempt between them. He's going to commit to the inside here. Saunders leaves the door open. It's going to be very close. And Saunders, I think they're not deciding to fight it too hard. Gristad just sneaking his way up the inside. And in return, now this is going to open the door for Jack Taylor to think about getting involved here. And the TC's the driver thinks, can I make it free wide or at least gain a place? Saunders on the outside still. So Gristad up there taking it nice and smoothly up the inside. And Saunders not fighting this. I don't think he's really in a position to fight it. But at the same time, I wonder whether Saunders here is playing the long game and thinking, okay, there's no point fighting. We're just going to lose time to the guys in front, but instead I'll focus on fuel saving and leave them all in the pits. And that's the thing with Saunders, you may be ahead of him on circuit, but are you ahead of him on strategy? And the answer is normally no, as they make their way down through turn 7 into 8. But meanwhile, from them we look back to John Davis here having a bit of a fight of his own as GTP's are deciding the way for that's Billy Bob Ray, who's P2 in the GTP AM class, and Davis versus Marsh, and both drivers there all out of sorts going through Power Horse, but Davis getting a better run, the wrong stuff driver getting it right as he comes up through left-hander, and Marsh offline. I think the Downforce Racing driver there is going to have to give the place away, as they do have behind them John Doble, the GTP AM third place, trying getting close. We can see that on the inside, and that's going to prevent Marsh from having an opportunity to get involved here, as we've got a lot of smoke being kicked up from turn number 9. I think somebody's got it very wrong in the braking. Well, as they come down from turn number 10, and we take a look back at what happened to Nicholas Rice on the opening lap of the GT3 race, as there was a major incident coming out 7 into 8, and just gets it wrong of his own volition. A rear right tire goes to the gravel as he gets the power down, and Rice to the barrel. We saw that in the distance, and that's led to major damage to Dirty Rice racing at driver. And we also had an incident for Lawrence Marsh at the same corner, and here's what happened to the Downforce Racing drivers. He made his way through the Welshman. It comes up for a left-hander. He's got Matt Edmonds for company behind. I think that was James Conniad for company, and in the end Marsh just runs a little bit deep, nowhere near what happened to Rice, but Marsh there making an error and then picking up a slowdown for his misdemeanor. Let us return to your live racing pitches, ladies and gentlemen. All the racing now definitely boiling into the multi-class racing aspect, and we have had a jump to the pits for Lawrence Marsh quite recently. I think that may explain why we saw a lot of brake smoke or tyre smoke coming up at turn number 9. We will get you an update on that when we can, potentially a replay, but right now what we can tell you is that Joe Newman is into the pit. So Newman's race has not gone well for the Empire Motorsport driver, but meanwhile in the live racing pitches we go from John Davis here to what is your battle between the leaders of the GT3 Pro class, and well, this is Jotatus Rosev as they come down into turn number 10. You can see there Sherwood just having to watch and wait behind as they make their way onto the start finish straight, as they charge their way out towards turn number 1. We ride on board and look back from the rear of the over limit racing driver Rosev right there. The headlights of the Ferrari gleaming bright as they head in towards turn number 1. Behind them they do have what is Slight Anti cutting on through after he picks his way past Anders Myra, and as they make their way up towards turn number 3, the Slight Anti carves his way on through right now. Anders Myra being made to wait a lot further back in the BMW M4, but keep your eyes on that BMW. It is going to close up on the straights here, but City of Jotatus and Rosev fight by another camera almost being wiped off the rear bumper of Jotatus' car. Such is the distance between the two of them as they make the way through turn number 3. This is close and classic racing. We absolutely love to see this, and right now two of the biggest names in the GT3 Pro class going back and forth here as they make the way all around the Red Bull ring. At any moment it could kick off, as meanwhile it definitely is here in the battle for P3. That's Hackle Gustad who goes up the inside thinking he can go for the move into 4, but in the end the corner catches him, and Roush corner seen him go deep, and as a result Anders Myra coming on back immediately at P3. But look at this, with the intersection of the GTPs here, they can't get a clean break from one another. Neither driver right now able to really race their line, given the fact that every time they turn into a corner they have a GTP, such as Billy Bob Ray there. P2 as he comes on through, gaining another place on track in terms of just picking up some position versus rivals as they make the way on through, and as they head in towards turn number 9. Well, right now they're coming on through the right-hander, and as they roll off and down towards turn number 10, Gustad right now would just like some breathing room to try and make a move on Myra, but is he going to be given that breathing room? And that's the change that is going to confound him, as meanwhile from them here's Salvatore Guariento already back up to P3 in the GTP class. He's got John Doble right behind the TT Simsport driver, and then David Larson. It's a three-way fight as they make the way towards turn number 1. Doble has a good defense here versus Larson as they come on through the corner. Larson around the outside, and he gets it done there. A little bit slightly off camera, but Larson with the momentum, and Doble not going too strongly, and now Robert Armstrong's coming back. I wonder what was wrong with Armstrong's car. Was there a slowdown? He was just gradually serving, because it looks like Armstrong's car was practically out of the race. He almost goes into the back of Doble under braking there. I think a small lock-up and braking slightly too late, combining together as they make their way up towards turn number 4. Though you notice that Armstrong did try and throw the steering immediately to left, and that's a sign he knew what was coming and tried to take evasive action, but thankfully nothing bad coming of it this time as they come on down into towards turn number 4. Into Roush they go. Armstrong on the inside, Doble on the outside, and Armstrong making the move there, and Doble letting it go. And I think recognising right now it's not the right time to defend, it's the right time to let the racing flow. But with that, as they come through turn number 6 there, Doble having to put himself on the inside of Hackle Gustad just in time for turn number 6. He wants to follow Armstrong through. He wants to use Armstrong to pull him back to the battling, but I don't think right now the Canadian driver is going to be given that opportunity, given the way he's having to pick and choose his way past the GT3. He's doing it safely, but at the same time it's painstaking, and that's the thing with multi-class racing, that sometimes the traffic falls favourably, sometimes it doesn't fall well for you, as Armstrong there finds out, as he does have Eric Rosev right on the apex of turn number 10. They share the real estate of the apex, but in the end Armstrong right now losing some time, and Doble coming back in immediately as they make the way into turn number 1 for what for them is the 9th time of asking. Coming out to the right hander, and from them we look to Ollie Pimley, currently your leader in the GTP AM class, and overall currently sitting at a sturdy P6 as he makes his way onwards towards turn number 4, and as he heads down towards the braking zone he has the company of Alex Hill right behind him, and Hill keeping the pressure on as they make the way through the right hander of turn number 4. And as they do, we can imagine Hill right now will be baying to try and make another place back before he then starts to focus on chasing down the top 5 of the GTP Pro class. Remember, these two are fighting for overall position, they're not fighting for class position, therefore there's no point of value here in terms of their fighting, but at the same time there's always a little bit of pride when you're an AM driver, you're able to keep a pro behind you if it works out in your strategy, and Ollie Pimley right now will be the one who knows whether it's worth keeping Hill behind or not as they head in towards turn number 9 here. But these two are right now coming through the right and down in towards turn number 10. No change between them, but meanwhile it's definitely changing in the battle for what is P32 overall, as this is Jack Barker battling side by side with Kiriav Kokorin, with Davis just in front. John Davis there in the Ferrari, but Kokorin on the inside of both the Ferrari and the Audi driver. Barker letting this go for now, but I think he's eager to try and see how he can be pulled out to Davis, as Kokorin now on the inside of 5, they'll put him on the outside of 6. Davis is not backing out of this, and I think he knows that Barker's waiting to get involved here, but Kokorin's going to go all the way around the outside using the rotation and the planted rear end of that Porsche to get it done. But John Davis now under some pressure from Barker as they make their way through turn number 7, and he'll be thinking that's cost him a lot of time in the long haul as they make their way in towards turn number 9 with Thomas Barge, the next driver up the road, 4.5 seconds clear of this trio, but he is being reeled in given the relative pace between them. And right now it is Corcoran who is the fastest of this three, as you would expect perhaps for the Pro Drive to be faster than the AMs, but Corcoran out of position and trying to gain those positions back as soon as humanly possible. But from them we do look to Steinar Sani, and right now in the battle for P27 overall, but let's talk about it in class, and this is for third place in the GT3 AM class, and he's got James Conley behind him as the UK Sim Racing Hill driver follows the BMW M4 from RaceLab Esports up the hill in towards the braking zone for turn number 3, and as they make the way onto the anchors here, right now Sani being encroached upon closer and closer under braking, but Conley there, but not reaching out just yet to try and look for the move. I think patiently waiting for that opportunity to bounce. But as they make the way out to 7.3 into 4, you can see the difference in straight line speed here of the BMW versus the Ferrari. Even in the tow, the Ferrari just does not have the legs compared to the BMW in the battle of what is the 6-cylinder machines. The BMW and the Ferrari both powered by 6-cylinder power plant now, with Ferrari moving away from the V8 to the 488 GT3 Evo to the 6-cylinder for 296 as of this year. And meanwhile, BMW staying with the 6-cylinder technology, which will be updated in 2024 with the BMW M4 Evo package. But right now, as they make the way on through turn number 7, Sonny going a bit deep there, and that deep run cost him a bit of momentum. The gap falls back from 4 tenths down to 2 tenths as they get towards your Marine corner here, and you can see Conley waiting in the wings, but just not quite able to get close enough to really tease out a move. And I think now keeping the pressure on, trying to get Sani to make a mistake and just give the place away voluntarily rather than having to force it, given the fact that these guys right now are losing time on Mark Johnson. As Johnson makes his way across the timeline, and currently P2 for UK Sim Racing Mansell, and potentially on course for his best result of the season since his transition to the Porsche 992 compared to his preferred power plant typically of the Mercedes AMG Evo. But can he carry this on? That's the question, and we don't want to put the commentator's curse on him as he makes his way up towards turn number 3, charges way on through. But right now, class leader Mark Collicott just in a world of his own, currently 6.5 seconds clear of his GT3 and peers, starting with Johnson, and Collicott pushing on. And I think many of you will be saying, what if we could have seen Collicott and Rice battle it out? And indeed, it's a shame that we saw Rice make that mistake on the opening lap, but you never know what can happen. Don't count it all over yet, ladies and gents. We've still got 45 minutes of racing, plus also the final lap of the race, and anything can happen until that checker flag falls. And we can promise you one thing, when the race is this close and good, anything can certainly happen. And speaking of anything happening, well, here's Jonathan Hitchin and making his way on the inside at past sight, anti in the battle for P4 in the GTP Pro class there, and it looks as though these two now falling away from the top 3 of the GTP Pro category, with a gap standing at 4 seconds between them and Sam Sherwood, who's the next rival up the road. But Hitchin here not being allowed to break away as we jump on board with the Welshman in the number 27, and well, good friends of the circuit, these two, as they race their way around. And you can imagine that right now both eager to try and get one over the other as they make their way in towards turn at number 9 towards Sparja. They're staying clear in the Rexy machine as they head on towards Marine corner, and Sight Anti here knowing that with the way the traffic's falling, he's going to close up very quickly to Hitchin as they come in towards turn number 10, and Anti here getting the better run off the corner, but Hitchin holding position in front and Anti in the tow. But I don't think he's going to want to close up too much, given the fact there is quite a run up towards turn number 3, and this is where you want to get the better exit, but also you can do some fuel saving here, tucked in the toe of Hitchin, and focus on the later stage of the race rather than put himself under too much pressure to make a pass that may not be worth it come at the next 30 minutes. As they make their way in towards turn number 5 and on to the brakes, there things calming down the GTP class right now. It does seem as though most of the GTP battles are starting to move towards strategy unless traffic intervenes. But meanwhile, in the battle for the lead of the GT3 Pro class, you can definitely see here Rosev versus Jotatas, and these two still inseparable as they make their way on around the gap, staying anywhere between 2 to 6 tenths as they head on around each and every lap. It seems to oscillate by sector as is expected, and as they head in towards what is turn number 9, coming into the braking zone here, and we say hello to Nick Rice 20 in the Twitch chat, also there to what is Shaq TIR6, and I do believe that may be none other than Salvatore Corriente, unless I'm mistaken, who said things didn't go as planned in qualifying. Well, right now definitely on the recovery drive here in the race, currently in P3, when we're off camera. We continue to stay our eyes affixed and transfixed on this battle for the GT3 Pro win as they make their way up through turn number 1, and now they do have what is that Austin William Campbell, your leader of the GTP Pro class, making his way between the two of them. They're being made to scythe his way through, and well, right now he'll be clear of that, and he'll be thinking, thank goodness I've done it once again. He's got quite a bit of breathing room for the next GT3 car, which will be Andy Skinner, who's all the way over at turn number 8 currently. There gets very close to the break in the Jotatas through turn number 3. We look from them to James Conley, who continues to try and knock on the door of Steinar Sani for third place in the GT3 AM class. As past them goes Ollie Pimley, your GTP AM leader, and Connie very close this time, but you can see Sani going defensive in the middle of the road. He knows what's coming, and I think right now the UK Sim Racing Hill driver really under the skin of Sani, and indeed the Race Lab Esports driver, very fair driver at that, but making it very clear that he wants to defend his position. I think he's worried that if Connie's allowed to get alongside and get the move done, Connie's just going to run away here, and right now the BMW M4 driver using the straight line speed of the German machinery to his advantage, but the Italian power plant behind definitely singing along into the tune of wanting that third place. They made their way for turn number 5, Jamina Mikkelsen just squeezing on the inside there, his teammate, as the Race Lab Esports car drivers avoiding one another, and now Sani definitely trying to hold position, but runs very wide at turn number 6. That could prove to be the opening that Connie needs. Go look up the inside as they made the way on through. He can't quite get in. Indeed, has to back off once again as they head in towards what is turn number 9, but they make the way in towards the next braking zone here. Connie again getting close, but just cannot find that final 5% in order to get the move done at this time. But meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, we have had a bit of an instant in the GTP class for Alex Hill, albeit about 5 laps ago, but we do have a replay coming up, albeit we're not going to jump to that replay right now, given the fact that Connie right there as they come out of the final corner. He's going to look up the inside here under braking into turn number 1. Sani's going to hold the outside, Connie on the inside. It's going to cut a lot of speed out of both, and they literally crawl through the corner and side by side battling there at its finest. But you notice how with Connie committed to that move, Sani's right behind him now, and Connie, I think many are going to be asking, should he have gone for it turn number 1, given that Sani's going to be there? Connie's seen something that we haven't. I think that he's more confident on the pace in these opening corners, and as Sani tucks in behind, Connie holds it for now, but as they make the way out of 3, we look back from the rear of the Ferrari 296 right, and look at the exit that Connie's been able to achieve. Now that is the delta, that's the confidence that Connie has, which is he's able to gain 2 tenths alone in the traction phase of turn number 3, and that has given him all the speed he needs to be able to just open that gap up to Sani and make Sani look as though he's standing stationary as they make the way out of these corners and onwards towards turn number 6. Sani of course trying to bite back here, but the BMW just hasn't got a response as they make the way through the left-hander at turn number 6 and holding the gap at half a second. I think that gap's going to increase now as they make the way towards the end of this lap. As they make the way out of turn number 7 in towards 8. This battle does come to a bit of a calm as the battle for P3 and the GT3 M class goes away the UK Sim Racing Hill driver Conley. But as they do see they're really a bit cutting its way on through into the braking zone of turn number 9. We look to Alex Hill versus Ryan Davies here, and these two fighting for P7 in the GTP Pro class, or what is P14 overall, as they make the way on through and up towards turn number 9 and in towards that braking zone they go. And well, right now the two Tiki Sim Sport drivers, they'll want to work together as much as they possibly can, given the fact they are the best part of 30 seconds down on the rest of the field. And Hill having a moment earlier on, which we did mention, but we haven't taken a look back at yet. In fact, we do have a replay to explain what's left Hill all the way down in this position. And this was on lap number 10 on the run up towards turn number 3. Now T6 Sport corporate driver coming under braking here. Does he get it wrong under his own volition? I believe he does. In fact, that's a lock-up with the rear brakes releasing well before the front brakes and kicking the car around in the fishtail spin. And well, we've seen that quite a few times this season from different GTP drivers, and that's when you have a major lock-up across all 4 brakes and the rears just release themselves of the locking mechanism before the front, and the car in the end will just kick around as he made his way back up to speed immediately in response. But as they make their way down towards turn number 4, we do say hello there to G Zenhai in what is the Twitch chat there. Of course, team principal Greg Zenhai in the Twitch chat for Tiki Sim Sport, and always great to see him tuned in and currently feeding information to his drivers. There's no doubt about that, and I hope you're doing well, Greg, as a number of you talking there as well with regards to what is the strategy, and particularly GTPs and GT3s batting home the corners, and GTPs needing to use the right approach to each and every corner in order to gain the maximum possible lap time or mitigate the amount of lap time they lose. And good discussion going on there. And well, as we return to live pictures, ladies and gentlemen, we do look to Austin William Campbell, your current leader, as he makes his way on through turn number 7 into 8, and right now firmly in control of this race with what is an advantage of 6.6 seconds over Joshua Wilson, of whom we see here the Effect Simulation driver from Sweden chasing after his first win as he makes his way up towards turn number 9. But can he find a way to be able to get things done here in the 191? Well, he is starting to bite back on the pace by comparison with what is Campbell. The pace now starting to swing back in favour of Wilson, but still do keep in mind there's a long way to go in this race, and both drivers right now could be trying to do some fuel saving. They might also be trying to do some battery saving, so therefore it is very difficult to tell exactly who is doing exactly exactly what with regards to finding the pace respected to one another, and I think we do have to wait a bit more time before we do start to see who out of these two has the true pace. It will be in the final 15 minutes, which is when we see that delta open up. But based on the information we have at the moment, it does seem as though Austin Campbell has a small advantage, which he's just been able to use to eke out the gap. And as he heads in towards turn number 4, well, meanwhile, we do see there a question in the chat with regards to the overall standings. Is our GT3 Pro leader 2 laps ahead of the rest of his class tonight? Does seem to be a glitch on our time screens, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you Divide Rule for pointing that out. We'll have to look at seeing if we can get that fixed, but we are experimenting today with showing you the overall positions of drivers in their respective classes every so often, along with their class positions as well, just to give you an idea of how they all fit together. And do let us know your thoughts and your feedback as to whether that's working for you, or if not, we can always remove it or not use it for the final 2 rounds of the season. We always try to upgrade the content you see on the UK Sim Racing official Twitch channel. As we do see Wilson making his way in towards turn number 9. Meanwhile, we do look back to Andy Skinner versus Matt Edmondson, and these two fighting for P10, the GT3 class. They made the way on through turn number 6 into 7, and Edmondson there on the inside line as they rolled the way up the corner. As they came out of turn number 7 into 8, it looks like Skinner losing a lot of time. And I think it was a move being made by Edmondson for position, with Matt Edmondson having recently pitted. So that explains a lot here why Edmondson is so far down the order by comparison to where he was previously when he was running P5 in the class, and this is how the move was made. So Edmondson tight in behind there with Bobby Bobray making his way around the outside of the two of them, but with Skinner being out of position and committed to the racing line, Edmondson deciding, right, that's my golden opportunity to go for it, and in the end, Edmondson are making a traditional pass on the inside of Power Horse Corner. But as they make the way on through, we do now look back to your live racing pictures, and well, with that, Skinner falling a little bit further back of Edmondson here, and I think the TE Sport driver just focusing on the pace he can deliver today, and still plenty of racing to come from him. He makes his way up towards turn number 3, and I'm sorry to announce, ladies and gentlemen, we do have 2 retirees in this race so far, and they do include Joe Newman in the GTP Pro class and Lawrence Marsh in the GT3 AM class. Both of them having retirements on what is lap number 6 and lap number 4 of their respective races. Unfortunately, we hope to see plenty more from them in the final 2 rounds of the season. But meanwhile, we look back to the battle of the GT3 Pro lead, and it's your top 3 right now. All on camera together. It's Jatatas ahead of Rose, ahead of Myra, and as they make the way out to the corner right now, well, despite the fact he really has been the spare wheel in the situations where we've had the GTPs coming through, Anders Meyer has now got himself within a second of the top 2, and therefore I think he'll be feeling as though his confidence is starting to come back together, and he can be involved in this battle and potentially make it a Racing Lab Esports 1-2 today with teammate Eric Rosev. As they make the way out of the corner right now, the GTP is falling favourably for Jatatas as they make the way in towards the latter half of the lap here, and Rosev right now in the number 1 car, definitely feeling as though he wants to be number 1, but it's just one problem, and that's Jatatas still holding on there in the Porsche 992 that's being made to work miracles as they make the way through turn 7 and 8, and as they head in towards turn number 9, every time the traffic falls unfavourably, it does seem to be catching the Racing Up Esports drivers a little bit more right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if the shield be on the other foot shortly, as Jatatas will find himself having the company of Ryan Davies into the final corner bit. Davies there showing the patience and waiting for the run on the start finish straight in order to offset the time loss as much as possible. But from them, we have, oh goodness me, what on earth is going on here? And that's John Davies going around with Nicholas Rice stopping the car just in time. Well, Davies pointing the wrong way, the wrong stuff driver. It's all gone very wrong very quickly there at turn number 4. But I think there's a lot more of a story to this than meets the eye, and we have a replay coming up very shortly to explain to you what happened. Well, here is the replay, and it all starts off with a battle, and this was for what was, I do believe, P5 in the GT3 AM class. Davies up the inside, nice move being made there, but it was enough as he gave a lot of racing room to Barshot, was able to get the power down the Porsche. Now it's about acceleration at this point, but look at Rice in the rear of the picture as well. Rice getting involved in this, they made the way down. Between them a GTP coming on through, and that was Ollie Pimley, the GTP AM leader. Rice up the inside, 3 wide there, but I think Rice a little bit premature on the approach to the corner in deciding to commit to the move. He saw the door was open, and then Davies being turned around and just having to wait his turn. And well, there, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a word to Rice in the stewards room after the racing day, based on the camera angle we've seen. But again, that's for the stewards to decide, ladies and gentlemen, not for us in the commentary booth. But it looks like there the door just wasn't open for Rice. But to be fair, you can understand what he was going for, but I think in the scenario it just wasn't on. But as they make the way back onto the live pictures here, meanwhile we do look from them back to what is Rice, who carries on his race, and all the same here. And that's what you got to do when you're involved in an incident with another driver. You can't let it get into your head. You just got to focus on what you can do at this time, particularly when stewarding is done post round. You can't think about what the consequences will be when you're involved in an incident, you have to think, right, that's happened, that's going to be in the books after the race. Right now, just got to carry on, and that's exactly what the Dirty Rice Racing driver is going to do in the 32, as the American makes his way out turn number 4 and out towards 6 on the charge after Thomas Barjak here, as he heads in towards the next braking zone. And the pace of Rice right now definitely on course to hunt down Barjak and gain further places. Keep in mind, of course, he has made one pit stop already, albeit a 4.33 second stop, and I believe that was a fast repair, so Rice does have a scheduled strategic stop still to make. He's not out of the woods when it comes to strategy yet, and that was the unfortunate incident coming out of turn number 7 into 8, where we saw the rear of the car let go and send him into the outside wall. But as the 32 driver comes on down through turn at number 9, right now he'll just be focused on gaining one place at a time and putting the pressure on his rivals as best as he knows how to do so as he comes across line here. And Rice's pace right now, as we give you an update for Barjak, that lap being what was a 30.96 for Rice at a 29.18. And gained the best part of almost 2 seconds there as he makes his way out the corner, and definitely it's a tell in the fact that right now Rice is on a mission to try and recover as much as he can in this race, and knowing the damage limitation now versus Mark Collicott is going to be the key as he heads uphill. Meanwhile, we do look here to a race that's going downhill based on where the corner of the circuit, but it's definitely going uphill in estimation of battling. And in fact, Sherwood is ahead of Wilson, and this has happened off camera. Sam Sherwood's been able to find his way on through for P2 in the Protect Motorsport machine, but how exactly has the exchange happened between the two Cadillac drivers? We're going to get a read of that shortly from what I'm hearing in my ear, but right now as they made their way out towards turn at number 1, at 29 minutes this race practically complete, 31 still on the clock, and we've had a change for P2 and a battle for the second and third spots on the podium, definitely right now being contested here in the GTP Pro category as they make their way towards turn 3. But it's Sherwood who's breaking away here at a rate of knots. But how exactly did this all start here, you ask? Well, here's the replay to explain. So coming out of turn at number 4, and there was a mistake by looks of things for Wilson, or something went wrong for Wilson in the corner, because Sherwood had a much better run, and immediately Wilson vulnerable, and Sherwood getting the move done there. No questions asked, just straight up the inside into Powell's corner, and Wilson unable to defend, just having no impetus to be able to do so. And now Wilson's got to try and fight it back as we return to your live racing pictures. But as we do, meanwhile from them, we do look back to that freeway battle for the lead of the GT3 Pro class. Something that's really dominating the discussion today, given the fact it's always great to see when you've got a lead battle, but particularly when you do have two teammates trying to find their way to usurp a driver who really has been the bane of everybody in the class this season. And as they make their way up through turn 7 and 8, you can understand why Joe is the bane. He is your championship leader, and as they make their way up towards turn number 9 right now, Joe still holding there. But of course, with all the amount the Porsche drivers being made to push, I do wonder whether the strategy will go the way of Racing Lab Esports, and can they potentially get both their drivers ahead when it comes to that pit stop. They'll be waiting to go as late as possible unless the space on circuit opens up, and that's the thing right now for Joe Tarsley. He flashes lights coming across the line, and I think right now flashes lights perhaps in a warning to GTP has gone past him, and as he knows he's on camera as he comes through turn 1 and upwards towards turn number 3. The Lithuanian driver right now, he can't really afford to take his foot off the gas, and I know it sounds silly, but it's the truth of the fact. He's got to go full throttle here, because I think Rosev and Mara are boxing him in on strategy here, and the fact the Racing Lab Esports drivers, they can choose to split their strategy shortly. You can imagine if Mara decides to pit now, and then Jotatis and Rosev go the distance to approximately what will be about 35 to 40 minutes into this race before they pit, then we could see Anders Mara, if he finds some clear space in circuit, and I think that clear space may be open up based on the circuit map that's available to us on the top right of your screen. You see if they go into the pits now, they'll be coming out in that gap on the run up towards turn number 3. Approximately, based on a bit of estimation, well, that could be enough to enable one driver to jump the other. So strategy is going to prove pivotal here, and who's going to be a winner in this group. But meanwhile, looking at Ollie Pimley, we do have another lead battle starting to appear, and this is in the GTP AM class, and it's Billy Bob Ray who's close on the DY13 racing driver, the Empire Motorsport driver, pushing on here, and the Scotsman right now, with the misfortune he had in the mid-portion of the season, he'll be very happy to be on the hunt here for the win today as they come in towards turn number 9 and 10. Both drivers yet to make their pit stop as they come on down. Oh, goodness me, in that track it's not going to fall favorably for Ray, but he manages to be patient and let Barjak take the corner. Doesn't lose as much time as perhaps he could have there, and I think that patience really proved pivotal, and the gap standing at 7.5 tenths between himself and Pimley as they go on to what for them is lap number 25 of racing. Through the right hander and onwards they charge, and as they head in towards turn number turn number 3 here, going up the hill, and Ray right now doing everything in his power to carry a bit more momentum and try to take that lead before they do come into the pit. Or will it be a response and a run to the pit shortly for Ray again? We're not too far away from those potential pit stops coming, but meanwhile, we do have a potential battle on our screens here for P8 in the GT3 Pro class, and this is Cox versus Kukulas, and it's Peter Cox who's the pursuer as they head all the way towards turn number 3, as we see Newman past there, or Joe Newman saying good luck to Billy, win is his if he wants it, and he's definitely being egged on by his fellow Empire Motorsport counterparts, and again for Newman, not a happy day. Sorry to see that, Joe, with the retirement. We hope to see you back at Daytona in a week's time with a penultimate round on the cards then. But Cox right now on a mission to try and hunt down a fellow Porsche driver. You can see Aussie Grit on the rear wing of Kukulas' car. It's the battle of the Australian versus the Briton as they make their way down towards turn number 4. Both running high here, and it's going to be up the inside for Cox. Can Kukulas get the cut back here? Cox parks it nicely. Kukulas does look for it, but he can't quite find it in the end, with Cox just able to stop the car in time. And Peter Cox gaining P8 there in a traditional move up the inside. But to be fair, Kukulas giving it everything he could with that potential cutback, hoping that Cox would just overcook the braking zone slightly, but not to be. But meanwhile, it's a new fastest lap of the GTP AM class for Billy Bob Ray. And well, your eyes do not deceive you, ladies and gentlemen. That's Billy Bob Ray at the rear of the picture. Ollie Pimley in the middle, albeit they're making their way past the GT3 of John Davis right now. And as they head in towards turn number 3, Billy Bob Ray is absolutely flying as they make their way out of turn number 3. Once more and on towards 4. We do have Salvatore Guayanto into the pit side. Look at my commentary booth window, so he's looking to try and jump ahead of David Larson in the pit lane, given that Larson has found his way ahead on circuit. But right now, Pimley under pressure, and will this lead to a forced pit stop from one of the two of them here? As we do see Ray, they have a little bit of oversteer coming out of turn number 4, pushing the car a bit too hard, losing 2/10. He's got to be careful of that, but that shows you how much the Empire Motorsport driver wants this. I mean, they both want the win, but for Billy Bob Ray, it would be a huge turnaround given the misfortune he's had this season. And to put you in the frame of perspective, ladies and gentlemen, Billy Bob Ray picking up 1 win earlier on the season, that was at Fuji, but otherwise he has had a drought of results since then, albeit what was a podium last time at Monza. And as they make their way in towards turn number 10 right now, all these two pushing each other all the way, as Ryan Moulds there I can see in the Twitch chat also cheering on Billy Bob Ray. It is the pursuit of Pimley as they make their way up the hill, carving their way between GT3s once again. You can see Jack Barker swinging the steering open at short notice, but Simon Hartley's going to find his way through as a result there, and these two are now going to be battling the way uphill. Barker tucks into the toe immediately. They're out of position in terms of what you see, given the fact they've yet to come in the pits, these two. But Simon Hartley right now wasting no opportunity there, with Jack Barker going to play the safety game. We've seen Ray coming through at short notice, and right now the Audi driver won't be too pleased about that, but he'll also be pleased about the fact he avoided the contact there. But again, at this circuit, and that's the one thing that they were worried about, the GT3 drives, is if they have a GTP come up on them at short notice. But you can understand why Ray did so. He wants to hunt down Pimley, and therefore who can blame him as they make their way down towards turn at number 4, and they survived that, there's no doubt about it. But meanwhile, battles are all building up everywhere you look, with still that battle for the GT3 Pro lead carrying its merry way up the hill. But look in the rear of your picture and you'll notice that's Hekon Gustad for Ignium Motorsport, and he is closing on the leaders right now. The gap between Winnis Gustad and Meyer, the best part of 2.5 seconds. I wonder whether the Ignium Motorsport driver here is planning something on strategy, because he's matching the pace of leaders. He's not really gaining, he's not really losing, but that gap just within arm's reach. And if Gustad can have a slightly shorter stop, that would bring him right into the hunt. We could have a 4-way fight for the win here in the GT3 Pro class in the second half of this race. We are in that second half already, but once we have the pits, we really do move on to that second stint, and that's where the gloves will come off between our drivers, and it will suddenly be, you've got to go, and give it everything, as Gustad there lets the car run wide at 6 in order to let on through Rudy of Itzland as they come out of the midfield section and up towards the final couple of corners. But still, we are waiting for a good number of pit stops to play out on our screen right now. No signs of the leaders of any of the classes making the way on in. But meanwhile, oh goodness me, and that's Billy Bob Ray. He's taken the lead of the GTP AM class, but I think it may have been aided by an instant for Ollie Pimley and perhaps another driver. That's Kerry Kokorin missing the front bumper on the portion of your picture. That may go some way to explain what's happened, and what's going to fill in the gaps here is a replay. Speaking of which, here we are. Well, this was coming on through the corner as they made the way out. Oh, goodness me, and that is very unfortunate for both drivers, with Kokorin just getting the power down and the car kicking out there, a power oversteer off of the sausage curb on the exit of turn number 3. And as Kokorin tried to wrestle it back together, who would be on his inside? It'd be none other than Ollie Pimley, your GTP AM leader, who was in the wrong place at the right time to end up on an intercept course between the two drivers. Well, that's unfortunate, no doubt about it. And Kokorin now limping the car around, and Pimley will be wondering whether the damage he's picked up is going to force a pit stop early. And as we return to your pictures, it is an early pit stop for Pimley. He's got to come in and respond. I think this is the right call. He's got to use that fast repair in order to get himself back up to pace and go hunting after Ray, but Ray will be now balled to the best part of at least a 6-second gap to play with before the pit stop is considered. And as they make the way up towards what will be a turn number 1, will meanwhile it's going to be Pimley in at the pit stalls, and from them we do look to Billy Bob Ray here leading now, and he'll be told by his team, right, just keep this race under control, manage your pace, you don't need to push too hard, you've already done the hard work, you've managed to get yourself into lead, now just manage this all the way to the end. Pimley already leaving the pit lane, a 15.63 second stationary stop. That will be a strategic stop in terms of fuel going in the car, so Pimley drops back to P3, David Larson P2. And the GTP class, he's yet to pit, to be fair, so Larson out of sequence versus Pimley, and we would expect he will come out behind Pimley when all is said and done. And when we speak to the man, and here we show you him, David Larson, the 306 car right now, looking to battle for the final spot on the GTP podium versus Rudy Witzland, albeit Witzland that yet to take a pit stop as well, so in fact it'll be a battle with Salvatore Guariento when we do the strategic mathematics, who's down in P5, but we believe is within attacking distance on strategy versus Larson. And well, we saw Larson having a bit of a snap over to him on kind of turn up 6. I think the tyres might be starting to go on the 306 car, particularly that rear right tyre, which is being made to work for the loading of the left-handers as he comes in towards turn at number 9. Well, right now the Briton coming on through. Does he peel on into the pits this time? No, he stays out for another lap, and I think opting to stay out there for as long as he can. You can understand why, because if he goes into the pits now, he would come out in a lot of GT3 traffic. He'd be coming out in amongst the battle from P5 through to P8 of the GT3 AM class, and that's somewhere you don't want to be when strategy and a podium is on the line. As he makes his way out of turn at number 1. Meanwhile, we do look back to that aforementioned battle, and here is James Conley. He's P6, he's chasing after Steiner Sani. You can see just off in the distance there as they make their way for Jochen Ring corner, and Conley is the man on a mission. They have both pitted, so therefore they are fighting for position to the end of this race. They do have in front of them John Davis, who's just coming in, so Davis will drop behind them, so that's the battle for P4, and Simon Hartley is yet to pit, as has Mark Johnson and Mark Collicott. So this could go as high as potentially a battle for 3rd, perhaps 2nd, albeit when we do the maths, I think Johnson will be safe. So this is a battle for 3rd you're looking at in the GT3 class once the final pit stops are accounted for from drivers. And Conley right now trying to close up here in the closing stages of this second stint. There's about 20 minutes still on the clock here, but he knows his target's in front of him, and he's just got to work it lap by lap and get himself in to that fighting position. But meanwhile, speaking of drivers trying to get himself into position now on strategy, Heckengrestad is into the pits, car from the jacks there, goes for a tyre change, and as he gets the car set now, he's looking to launch it shortly. There it goes, no issues with the Ferrari as he makes his way up towards what will be the pit exit line, and as he does so, he's going to drop a long way down the order, understandably. He drops down to P8 in the GT3 Pro class, but look at that circuit map right now, and as you can see, as he makes his way out of turn at number 1 and re-emerges, he has bought himself clear space on track. Heckengrestad has nailed this pit stop, and I think this could bring him right in, and in fact, as he pounds his way on through, see Mark Johnson behind there, who has yet to pit. So Gristad has bought himself all the room he needs, and now will we see a response from any one of these three in that battle for the win in the GT Pro class, because Gristad might have just earned himself the right to be right in that fight, right at the end, given his stationary time at 16.43 seconds stop. Reece Saunders, meanwhile, a bit further back by comparison, so Saunders not quite there versus Gristad. I think it is going to be a four-way fight to the very end, but will we see any of them come in? Jatatas carries on. Meanwhile, that's Rosev, he's into the pits. I think he's responding to his fellow Norwegian coming in, and right now the number one driver here, he wants to be number one come the end of it today, but will this work out? Well, time is going to tell in approximately 30 seconds from now. To put you in the frame of perspective, Gristad right now making his way out of power into turn number 7, so he's not too far away as they make the way onto the pits. Does it Rosev as he parks the car up? We look to Rice versus Matt Edmondson for a moment as they make the way up the hill. This fight for what is P5, in fact we should say P6 in the GT3 AM class. Behind that's Rob Armstrong trying to find the right way to go round them all, and as they make the way out of the corner, will Rice there not quite able to find a way on through as they power the way out of the corner, but as they do, meanwhile we come back to that battle between Gristad and what is there, Rosev, and Rosev in fact we're leaving the pit lane, so Rosev has gained considerably on Gristad. I think there's been some fuel saving going on for Rosev, but where is heck on Gristad? Well, as they make the way out of turn 1, there he is, and look at the gap. In the end, Rosev with a stationary time of 15.05 seconds, that's a second and a half gained practically over Gristad in the pit, and well, Gristad's got to do it the hard way here, and in fact it looks like Rosev, with the fuel saving he's been able to do, may have just earned himself the right to be safe, and now he could put some pressure onto what would be Jatatas and Anders Myra in that fight for the win and those podium positions. as he comes on down towards turn number 4. We're still waiting on those pit stops to be offered to us, but meanwhile another man who's flying on circuit is going overall and GTP Pro leader Austin William Campbell in the 555 car, so it's the new fastest lap of this race, 1:16.82 to the nearest 100th, and Sam Sherwood 7 seconds behind, with Wilson a further 4.5 seconds off. This is going more and more the way at the Symphony Esports drive. That top 3 yet to pit, but meanwhile it's pit stop season here for the leaders in the GT3 Pro class. Jatatis in, so for Anders Meyer and Jack Taylor a little bit further back as well. They've all decided to come into the same time, and now where is Eric Rozev? That's the question on everybody's lips as he makes his way on through at turn number 9, and as he does so here, the blimp camera coming into a perfect position as he makes his way through the right-hander at turn number 10 and comes on to the start for his straight. Jatatis and Meyer already leaving the pit lane, and here they come up towards turn number 1. Jatatis ahead of Meyer still. Rozev is too far back. Jatatis will be leading this when we go into the final stage of this race, albeit where will Rozev be in all of this as they make the way uphill? Well, there is Eric Rozev in the rear of your picture, and it means that Eric Rozev right now comes back out in effectively P3 in the GT Pro class. The leader is Peter Cox, but he's yet to pit, and he's only 2 seconds ahead of Jatatis, but they are as they were. But the man who's lost out here is Eric Rozev in that top 3, and behind them, what is Grishtad has lost out considerably as well, and in fact Jack Taylor has got ahead of Grishtad based on strategy, and the T-Sport Hawker driver on his debut today has leapt his way into effective P5 as we're to understand it. A nice bit of work there from the number 12, and as a result I think Greg is going to be the team principal absolutely pleased as punch. They've been able to get a car ahead of the EQ Motorsport driver, and that's all come down to strategy, albeit there Alex Hill Dyson to the inside. I think there might be a word on the radio between the two of them there saying, watch it guys, we don't need to end up taking one another out when there's such a big result on the cards. But as they make their way in towards turn number 6, up the inside goes your GTP Pro leader, but look at this, Taylor going deep as a result. Grishtad's on the inside here, and all that place gained is going to be for naught as Grishtad retakes with effective P5 in the GTP Pro class, and now Taylor's got to do it on track, and he's right there as they power their way out to turn number 8 out towards 9. Taylor's going to look round the outside, Grishtad on the inside, onto the brakes they both go. It's the battle of the Ferraris. They rolled away from the right down towards turn number 10, and holding on here, right, Grishtad will do everything in his power in order to be able to push onwards towards what these rolls in front. But I think he's locked into a battle here for P4 all the way to the close. In fact, it will be Peter Cox in the pit lane, Adrian Kukulis as well. So this is the fight for the first spot outside of the podium place in the GT Pro class, and right now nothing between these two as they make their way up towards turn number 3, and on the, oh goodness me, and a knock there between Sam Sherwood and Grishtad. Sherwood I think coming on through down a very tight line, a closing line, and not sure if Grishtad saw him or whether he's more focused on the car behind, but either way the two of them trying to share the same bit of space in the circuit, and that could have been disastrous. Grishtad does have some front right suspension damage most likely now, or at least front right aero damage on the car from the driver's perspective as he makes his way onwards towards turn number 4. We'll get a glimpse here whether this affects his top end speed at all. It doesn't look to do so, and he could have had that go far worse, but right now I think he'll be hot in mouth for Ignite Motorsport, and they'll be absolutely fuming with what's happened there, and right now the driver under even more pressure as a result. But as Wilson makes his way on from the inside, Joshua Wilson under pressure here to try and hold on to the final podium position in the GT Pro class, because that behind him is Jonathan Hitchin. Hitchin coming out of left field in the Symphony Esports 21, and in the BMW right now really bringing that race pace alive in the closing stages of his opening stint here. 45 minutes in, we've yet to see a pit stop from what is our top 8 GTPs, so therefore they've still got plenty of more time to come. But as soon as I say that, Hitchin into the pit, he's decided enough's enough. He's going to try and leapfrog Wilson on strategy, but will this work? That will be the challenge that confronts him as time goes on. But meanwhile, as he comes on through, we do look from Jonathan Hitching to Holders Jatatis and Anders Meyer as they power their way up towards turn number 3, and as they do so we can see Jatatis here has been caught by the BMW driver, so it is Anders Meyer who now, feeling the confidence flying, might be able to look for that move. But as they're heading towards the braking zone, Jatatis going defensive, and you can see that Jatatis using Simon Hartley, the traffic who's a lap down in the GT3 class, as a tool. But as we ride on board with Anders Meyer, you can see there still Hartley in the middle of the road with Salvatore Guariento going around the outside of them. As they come charge on down, Hartley backs out of this. He doesn't want to be part of it, he doesn't want to impede, and it's going to be a move around the outside from the number 20 driver. Can he get it done as they come through turn 4? It's not over yet. He's got the better run out the corner. Jatatis on the inside into 5. But that's not where you want to be for turn number 6. Myra's on the inside, the third position as they come onto the brakes here, and the BMW driver commits to it, gets it nicely parked up on the apex as they come through the left-hander and down towards turn number 7. It's not over yet as they make the way through the left into right. We ride on board and look back for your new leader in the GT3 Pro class, Anders Meyer. He's ahead of Jotatas, but is the position confirmed? I think it may be here as that gap now open up to 3/10. They make the way up towards turn number 9. And Jotatas here will try and hold on as close as he possibly dares to dream to do so as he comes through 9 into 10, using the cornering capabilities of that Porsche in order to give him that potential run. But look at the BMW speed as they make the way onto the start-finish straight. They go on towards the GT3 classes, lap number 32, and as they head in towards turn number 1, well, it looks like the Porsche there, as much as it tries to mark at its rival, it gets very close there coming out of turn number 1. I don't think it's got the speed to continue this fight in the long haul, although saying that Jotatas is not going to give in here. Still 2.5 tenths, but note how the gap is not closing under slipstream. It's staying stationary, and that's the sign when this BMW's just got so much more speed available to it. And for what Jotatas has got to do, he's got to be daring. He's got to abuse the brakes of that Porsche, the strongest brakes on the GT3 grid. He's got to get on the inside or try to look for that manoeuvre in towards turn number 4, but from coming from so far back, it's such a risky proposition this late in the race with 12 minutes still left on the clock plus that final lap. Eric Rosev has also started to close up as well, so therefore we do now really have that freeway fight once again as they head in towards turn number 6, going in towards the left-hander. You can see there Rob Armstrong squeezing up between them at 1 by 1. But whilst this is playing out, ladies and gentlemen, we've also got battles playing out elsewhere, including Jacko Taylor, or Jack Taylor as he's known, making his way back past Heckengristad. And well, how exactly did this happen, I hear you ask? Well, we take a look back, and here is the replay of what was made for the move. Whereas in the run down towards turn number 4, and Taylor having the better run into 3, initially getting him on the inside, and Ingolstadt trying to hold his way all the way around the outside, but Taylor giving him the right to the racing room, but able to hold that run, and Jack Taylor making that move stick for now. And I say for now, because as soon as we look back to your live pictures, you can see here there's still nose to tail, and good spot there from what is GZN High with regards to the battling between these two as they make the way in towards turn number 1, and Gustad there still, and I think there's more to this before it's all over. And keep in mind as well, they are only what is 5 seconds off of the top 3, so if they can put their battling aside for one moment, and if the top 3 fight even more, these guys could theoretically get involved in that battle. I think they're more focused on each other right now, but it's a big what if question, ladies and gentlemen, as Gustad looks up the inside again, going all in on the braking, and well, you can see Taylor wanted to turn in, but he saw Gustad was there right at the last call and leaving it as late as he dared to do so. But a lovely move coming from the Hekon Gustad from a distance as they make the way down towards turn number 4, still fighting side by side. It's a repeat of the previous lap, albeit they swap places, and Gustad back up the inside, retakes the position, and this is true GT3 racing. Great respect between the two of them here as they make the way in towards turn number 6. And right now we don't want this battle to end. It will end at some point when that checker flag waves, if not beforehand, but as they come in towards turn number 7, well, right now Gustad starting to leverage what is that positional advantage and trying to open the gap back up. I don't think Taylor's going to let this go. We'll have to wait and see if that's how it plays out in practice, as meanwhile more pit stops playing out, including Joshua Wilson leaving the pit lane. You can see there making his way up to speed out of the pits as well. Is one of the Racing Lab Esports cars. I believe that's Alexander Truman McCalson, who is a lap down here on where's Joshua Wilson, so therefore no threat to Wilson, but where we also see it making the way on through. And I believe that's the Protect Motorsport car making its way on past. That is Sam Sherwood. And in fact, Sam Sherwood now up to position and into what is here P2, retaking that position of a Wilson, but it's so close between the two of them there. And goodness me, ladies and gents, but now we get our bearings are fixed. That was for position. Sam Sherwood making the jump back on strategy with what was Wilson, although Wilson did have a 2-second faster pit stop. And as they make the way down towards turn number 4, well, these two right now, they're fighting for the runner-up spots there in the GT Pro class. Sherwood's holding on to it for now, but Wilson galvanised there by almost making it count on strategy, and Sherwood just able to inch ahead right at the close of that pit stop. But it just goes to show you that Wilson right now definitely pushing harder and harder every single round for a potential win. And today it may not be a win on the cards, but a P2 is definitely viable if he can find that final 5% in order to find his way on past Sherwood as they make the way in towards turn number 9 here. Well, now he's close, but he's got that dirty air to deal with, and catching is one thing, passing is another, as late great Murray Walker once said. And as they roll their way out to turn number 10 and up towards 1, you can bet that Wilson right now wants to emulate the achievements of his teammates of what is Paul Busby and also Andrew Dawson. But can he find a way to do so here as they make the way out to turn number 1 up towards 3? Well, right now it's not forthcoming, but there's still time to go. The best part of another 6 to 7 laps, including the one they've got onto, and Sherwood is not getting away any time soon as they break the way into turn number 3. as they make their way through the right-hander. It is the battle of the two Cadillacs with an Acura leading up front as they power their way in towards turn number 4. And as they do, we've had further drama further down the order, ladies and gentlemen. Billy Bob Ray, who was battling for the lead of the GT3 AM class, having to be towed to the pits. We're trying to understand what exactly has happened to Billy Bob Ray, and well, whatever's happened has happened very recently indeed. And well, we will try and get a bit of information on that very shortly. But as I try to make the way on around here, we continue to watch this battle for P2, and well, Billy Bob Ray having to jump to the pits. And we do have a replay. This may serve to explain it. We'll just go into the pits there and having to be, I believe, towed to his pit stall. So something's gone very wrong with the car. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Billy Bob Ray other than something's gone wrong for him. We return to live racing pictures, and in fact we have confirmation there from Brian Moles in the Twitch chat to say it's a drive-through penalty, and Billy Bob Ray's opportunity to take the win today after fighting so hard with Ollie Pimley is no more. And very unfortunate though, that will be heartbreaking for Empire Motorsport, none more so than Billy Bob himself. Now how hard he's worked for it, but still 2 more rounds to go, and he'll have to pick himself up, although you can understand from the driver's perspective that is crushing, and it will take some time for him to bring himself back together. But still, I'm sure all of you guys and girls tuning in right now will be rooting for him to bring himself around for round at number 9. I definitely will be as well, but sometimes the luck unfortunately is just not in your favour, and that drive through, I do believe, being for, well, in fact we haven't quite got a source where it's speed in the pit lane, alternatively the instant count, but either way a drive through being accumulated all the same. As I try to make the way on through, we do now look to Anders Meyer as he powers his way up the hill towards turn at number 3, and as he does so here, still more to come in this battle for the GT3 Pro win and these top 3 together. And right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Racing Lab Esports are trying to make it a 1-2, but they've got a very prickly customer to try and deal with in terms of negotiating that, and Jatatis is not going to let them make it happen if possible. He wants that win. He wants to try and put this championship to bed before the season finale, but right now Race Lab have got other ideas as they make their way through turn number 4, and Anders Meyer here, he's got the speed in the BMW. He knows that he can dictate the race for the top 3 in terms of the fact every time that Jatatis gets close, all he needs to do is power away on the straights, particularly on the opening half of the lap. But as they make their way onwards towards what is the closing stages of this lap, and still more to come, when we ride aboard and look back from the rear of Anders Meyer's car, you can see that face for the Porsche 992 at Jatatis as they head in towards turn number 9, and will Jatatis look into the inside there. He's not going to be able to look for the move. What he's trying to do is get into the head of his rival and trying to say to Meyer, am I going to go for it? Well, only time will tell if I'm going to try and look for the move, but these guys are all professionals of their craft, and therefore you can know that Anders Meyer will be thinking that move's never going to happen in a million years from that far back into turn number 9. As they power their way onwards, Ollie Pimley, your GT AM leader, making their way onwards as well. They go on to another lap here for our GT3s. It's the best part of another 4 laps of race, including the lap they've just charged their way onto, being for them with lap number 37 as they make their way on the rise up towards turn number 3 once more. But as they do so, Alex Hill picking his way on through, the P5 GTP Pro driver, who once again picking places up left, right and centre by keeping it calm, collected and considerate. And whilst all this is playing out, meanwhile we've now got a 3-way fight for the second place by the GTP Pro class. This is Sam Sherwood and Joshua Wilson, the 2 belligerents we've talked about time and time again. But Wilson there, oh my good lord, and Wilson's into the wall. What? It's a disaster for the Swede, coming out of turn number 10, the Effect Simulations car straight to the wall, and it's all shattered the dreams of Vision on the podium here, and that is a total bits. And for Wilson, it's all fallen apart at the final hurdle, and now Sam Sherwood will be on course potentially for the 2nd place, unless the man who we're just about to talk about, Jonathan Hitchin, finds his way in as there's a lock-up for Sherwood. It's all kicking off here in the battle for 2nd in the GT Pro class. Wilson into the wall, and now Hitchin chasing after him, and I think his fever for trying to take that 2nd place, what is only going to be boosted in Symphony, could be looking at a 1-2 here in the GTP Pro class when all is said and done. If Hitchin can find his way past Sherwood with only 4 minutes to go plus the final lap, it would be an incredible sight to behold. It'd be the first time we've seen a 1-2 from Symphony Esports in the best part of the year in the UK Sim Racing Series, if my memory serves me correctly. As they make their way down in towards turn at number 7, Sherwood is not going to just simply fall over on this one. He will make sure to give it everything he's got here, and the same for Hitchin. These two got to push each other all the way to limit as they make their way in towards turn number 9, and as they charge their way onto the next lap, traffic falling on them as well. With Hitch now in negotiate with Kerry Kokorin, and now Peter Cox, they make the way on through, and it's not falling any more favourably. to Sherwood as they come out of turn number 10 and as they head in towards turn number 1, coming in towards the right-hander, and you can see here Hitchin right now very close. Sherwood losing a lot of speed into the opening corner. The move is potentially on here, or is it? As Hitchin getting too close to call as they come out of 1, and therefore he's had to fall back. 3/10 separates the two of them as they head up the hill in towards the braking zone. Onwards they go. Hitchin literally extending the braking as much as he can. He knows he wasn't, but too much steering lock there and trying to get on the power too soon. It causes him to lose the rear of the car, and the oversteer means the gap goes all the way back up to 1.1 seconds. It's a small error, but it's a big impact right towards the end of this race. And right now Hitchin on old tyres, he's giving it everything he's got, but the tyres haven't got the grip available. He's got to tread carefully, they both have, as he makes his way onwards towards turn number 6 into the next braking zone. But Sherwood being given a respite. We can see that Sherwood goes deep at turn number 6. That's cost him a bit of time as Hitchin tries to carry on through, tries to close up a little bit more. But as they make their way through a left-hander, we do have Wilson still being repaired in the pit lane, and we can see there and saying that iRacing freezing, and as a result going into the wall. They come out of turn number 10, and I do feel for you, Josh, in the fact not the way anybody wanted it to go, particularly for yourself, in the fact after fighting for so long for that second place finish, and we're very sorry to see it happen that way. But as we look back to the racing here, ladies and gentlemen, and commiserations have been extended. Meanwhile, I believe we have had a potential retirement, surely not for Aldous Jatatis in the GT Pro class, because this is Eric Rose of Anders Murray just in front of him, and Jatatis is nowhere to be seen. If that is a disconnect right at the end of this race, he's falling down the timing tower there. That is a very late turn of events for Aldous Jatatis, and I think it is, ladies and gentlemen. I think we might be looking at a Race Lab Esports 1-2 in the most dramatic and unexpected fashion here, as Aldous has just simply, I believe, had to retire from this race due to a technical issue, and as a result, Anders Murray and Eric Rose are now looking at a 1-2 here that they can bring on home with Håkon Gestad. We're in P3. We could be looking at a Norwegian podium for the GT Pro class, but meanwhile we've had a car off the road down. I believe that's Cy Anstey in a bit of an incident coming out of turn 6 into 7. It's all going crazy at the Red Bull Ring, and this circuit always delivers whenever we race here. And right now, it's the curse of the final couple laps of the Red Bull Ring coming back to haunt so many today, as we do see Rosev right now holding on now to Anders Murray, who is looking on course to make it another win for Race Lab Esports Moser, as he goes on to what for him will be, I do believe, his final lap of racing here today. Perhaps one more to go, but meanwhile, it's not over yet in the battle for P2 in the GT Pro class, with Sherwood versus Hitchin heading on towards turn number 1. They charge way on through. Race leader Austin William Campbell meanwhile is ahead. This will be, I believe, their final lap race, and they may squeeze another one in, but that's subject to confirmation. And as they make their way out of the corner, that's David Larson pointing the wrong way coming out of turn number 1, I believe parked up. He's P3 in the GTP AM class, so David Larson right now will be vulnerable to Rudy Vixen taking P3 right at the close of this. You couldn't make this up, ladies and gentlemen, as they make that corner, and that is, look at this bit, it's all the floodgates are open. It's Armstrong chasing after Vixen. This is now for third place with Larson spin at turn number 1. They make the way up the hill. It's free wide with GT3 traffic. Vixen holds the inside. Armstrong meanwhile are going on through as well, and he's going to chase this like mad. 9. There's only one lap to go. In fact, our race leader's already at turn number 7. We're not getting another lap. This is the final lap of racing here, and as they come on down, well, Armstrong not close enough to get involved with Vixen right now, but meanwhile this man carries on. There's no stress, there's no drama. All there is 2 corners between him and certain victory. The clock strikes now, and as he comes up through the final corner, it's been calm, it's been collected, it's been consistent, and that's exactly how Austin William Campbell likes it. He wins at the Red Bull Ring for Symphony Esports in the GT Pro class, 11.1 seconds clear of what will be your second place finisher, Sam Sherwood, who comes on through to take P2 for ProTech Motorsport. Jonathan Hitchin, P3 there for Symphony Esports. A fantastic back and forth battle, and then behind them, Anders Murray and Eric Rose make it a 1-2 for Race Lab Esports, with the Moser driver taking the GT Pro win ahead of his teammate Håkon Gestad, third place in the class. And as they all cross the line, more drives to come on through, including what will shortly be your winner in the GTP class, who has had an incredibly quiet race as he's disappeared off into the distance with Nicholas Rice also had that impact of the wall. But for Mark Collicott, it's another day in the office and another day closer to that championship crown as your GT3 AM winner today for AI Racing is DCW Racing. And then shortly, ladies and gentlemen, here he comes, is your GT3 AM leader. He's going to make it the win for DY13 Racing. It's Ollie Pimley in the 765. He takes the winning class as he crosses the line in the end, 31 seconds clear of his next driver, Salvatore Corriento. But my goodness, what an end to this race, and all the drivers have not finished yet. with Mark Johnson coming on down through turn number 10, and as he makes his way through, he'll be second place in the GT3 class, his best ever performance since switching to the Porsche 992. Congratulations to him for UK Sim Racing Mansell, and it will be James Conley who brings on home a UK Sim Racing 2-3 in the GT3 class there for UK Sim Racing Hill in another great day for the 46 driver, and Steinar Sani holds on in the end for that fourth place he's coveted ever since we've gone green flag racing for Race Lab Esports Car X, and then it will be fifth place in the class. And what a recovery drive for the Dirty Rice Racing driver. Nicholas Rice comes on through. He won't be happy that it's not the podium, but still, when he looks back at it, it's a deserved P5 in the end. And that concludes all of your race here today, ladies and gentlemen. But goodness me, the last couple of laps of this race, it's almost as if somebody said we're going to save every moment that occurs until right at the end. And the Red Bull Ring has a knack of doing this, I can tell you from previous experience in the UK Sim Racing Series. And well, we've got quite a few things to pick apart, but I think the biggest thing we need to pick apart is what exactly happened to David Larson. As we can see Anders Murray, they're doing the donuts to celebrate, and I believe Eric Rose, they're doing the same as well. They've made their 1-2 happen for Race Lab Esports, but we're going to have to look away from them, ladies and gentlemen, because we need to understand what happened to David Larson. And well, here's the initial replay. This was lap number 44, so 2 laps from the end. Cy Anthony off the road, and Larson, oh my goodness, and that costed Larson a huge amount of time at the time running P3, dodging Cy Anthony there, who in the end was just trying to recover the car. You can understand the two of them just coming into the wrong place at the wrong time respectively, but then going on to the next lap, you can see the damage done already in the fact that Larson running P3 and Rudy Avitson all the way back here. So the next instant is what really sets things off. So we're going to stay with the replay footage all the way now up towards turn number 1. And this is where it all goes wrong for Larson, going uphill into the braking zone. He does have one of the Symphony Esports machines behind him. I believe that's Austin William Campbell. Through turn 1, hits the sausage curb, and the car bombs over the curb, and it goes backwards there to the wall. And David Larson then pinned against the tyre barrier as well, and he's just got nowhere to go. As he's got to turn it across the circuit, and that is a nightmare scenario, because it means that Rudy Avitson right now battling with Rob Armstrong as they made their way up the hill. These two are still fighting, and the problem is Larson cannot turn the car around. He's got to sit there, and in the end he does get it turned around, but it's too late, and here they come, and Avitson going, right, I am taking this, no it's no buts. But then Rob Armstrong thinking about it, how can I get involved? But then the traffic falling foul for what was Armstrong, in the fact that the two GT3 AM drives of Barker and Davis right there battling for position. So in the end he couldn't find a way past Avitson, and that was his one opportunity, and that was the end of their battle for P3 in the GTP AM class. But goodness me, what a final lap, and that explains the final part of the story there. As we return to your live track now, ladies and gentlemen, it's all fallen silent with regards to racing here at the Red Bull Ring, and you know what that means. It's time for us to bring you those race results subject to any stewards' inquiries, and here they are. Well, as we take a moment to catch our breath, what a round of racing it has been in round number 8 of the UK Sim Racing GT3-GTP Multiclass League Season 1, brought to you on iRacing, and Austin William Campbell in the end taking a phenomenal drive to victory in the GTP Pro and overall category for Symphony Esports, 11.5 seconds clear of Sam Sherwood, ProTech Motorsport, and Jonathan Hitchin a further was half a second behind for Symphony. Pushing hard there, but in the end, a Symphony Esports 1-3, not quite the 1-2 they wanted perhaps, but still a great day for the team and a great day for Austin William Campbell and Jonathan Hitchin. And let's not forget the ProTech Motorsport driver Sam Sherwood, also a deserved P2 and fighting tooth and nail every step of the way. Alex Hill P4 for TG Sim Sport Corpa, a further what was by comparison 41 seconds behind, and not quite on the pace today. But still, as he did say in the build-up to today, may not have had the practice, but still looking at to essentially focus on it, just delivering will be that consistency and taking that fourth place finish for TG Sim Sport Copa, and again making it a continuous string of P5 or higher finishes this season, ahead of Ollie Pimley, your winner in the GTP AM class, and the DY13 racing driver only a further 4 seconds behind there in P5 overall. He'll be absolutely pleased as punch with that. Ryan Davies P6 for Tiki Simsport there, completing all the drives they finished on the lead lap. And then Salvatore Guariento, runner-up in the GTP AM class in a race today, which I think will give him flashbacks to Spa-Francorchamps in the fact that at one point towards the front of the field, then to the back of the field, and having to recovery drive all his way through. But the Mule.io driver doing well to finish P2 in class ahead of Rudy Avitson, with the Race Now Esports KTM driver finishing unexpectedly third place on the podium, but still being in the right place at the right time to capitalise on the late misfortune of David Larson. But between Larson and Avitson, Rob Armstrong there, P9, just not quite on the podium for the GTP AM class, but P9 overall for UK Sim Racing Bell. And then David Larson round off your overall top 10 there for Symphony Esports, with that late mistake on the final lap costing him extremely dear. Alexander Truman-Macalson, P11 there for Racing Lab Esports Moser, your best the rest, ahead of Cy Anthony and Joshua Wilson. And commiserations there to Joshua Wilson for the instant coming out of turn number 10, the technical issue, which saw him go to the wall coming out of the corner when we was looking at a potential battle for P2 all the way to the end. But still, the effect simulation driver's got to know it has been one of his finest performances today on the grid, and he can take that forward into Daytona in a week's time. Head of Anders Meyer, your GT3 overall winner, P14 overall, and with that, your GT3 Pro winner, continuing that run of wins for Racing Lab Esports Moza, ahead of Eric Rosev, his teammate from the sister team for Racing Lab Esports KTM, a 1-2 for Racing Lab Esports. You can understand why they were doing donuts at the end, and they managed in the end to find their way past was Holders Jotatus, albeit an unfortunate retirement for Jotatus, spoiling what could have perhaps been a fight to the very finish line between the trio. But still, that's the way the racing goes, and when some fall, others will rise, and Håkon Grestad being the one to rise to move onto the podium to make it an all-Norwegian GT3 Pro podium for Ignium Motorsport. And as we then look further on down the order, ladies and gentlemen, focusing on our podium finishers for the GT3 AM class next, Mark Collocott there, P20 overall, and your G3 AM winner for AI Racing Race DCW Racing. And with this win today, if he picks up the win at Daytona next week, I think it will practically fall to the position whereby he will definitely be the assured favourite in the season finale in round number 10. But Collocott on a level once again today, and just not quite reachable by his peers. But still, Mark Johnson, P23 there for UK Sim Racing Mansell, delivering the goods there to finish second place in the G3 AM class in his best result of the season, ahead of sister team driver for UK Sim Racing Hill, James Conley, P24, P3 in the class to complete the G3 AM podium of Collocott, Johnson and Conley. And then we now come on to our retirees from the race, ladies and gentlemen, in the overall classification. And as we can see, Billy Bob at Ray there, the first retiree in the GTP AM class, P33 for Empire Motorsport, with an unfortunate end to his race. And the same could be said for Horodus Jotatus there, with that late retirement due to a technical issue. And Andy Skinner, P35 for Tiki Simsport, head of John Doe, Joe Newman and Lawrence Marsh, all of them at retirees. And John Doe being the last classified finisher of this race, as he did complete over half the race distance, with the halfway point for the GT3 class being 20 laps or more, of which he was 16 laps off the race lead finisher, and Joe Newman and Lawrence Marsh being classified as non-finishers as they did not reach the halfway point of their respective races. But now coming on to the individual class finishing positions, and these are the ones that are the most key, of course, given the fact these are the ones where the points are accrued. Austin William Campbell in the GTP Pro class, your winner for Symphony Esports, head of ProTech Motorsport Sam Sherwood, and then teammate from Symphony Esports Jonathan Hitchin. Alex Hill, P4 there for Tiki Simsport Corpa, head of Tiki Simsports Ryan Davies. Those are all your lead lap finishers, and then finishing a lap down, Alexander Truman-Macalson and Cy Anthony, with that late error at turn 6 and 7 cost him in the battle with the Racing Lab Esports motor driver. 4 laps down with the retirement, Joshua Wilson will be classified as P8 there for Effect Simulations, and Empire Motorsports Joe Newman the sole retiree. Then coming on to the GTP AM class. And here we can see Ollie Pimley taking the win, and the only GTP AM driver to finish on the same lead lap as the GT Pro and overall winner, going on to a 46th lap for DY13 Racing in an absolutely dominant display today. And then Salvatore Guariento second place, Miro.io ahead of Rudy Avitston for Race Lab Esports KDM, with Robert Armstrong and David Larson completing the run to P5, and then at Billy Bob Ray with the late retirement, and John Doble with a little bit of an earlier retirement, but both of them classified as finishers for Empire Motorsport and Tiki Simsport Corpa, P6, P7 respectively. We then come on to the GT3 Pro class, and here we can see a 1-2 from Race Lab Esports, the Moza driver ahead of the KTM driver, Anders Meyer P1, Eric Rezer P2, and Håkon Grestad at P3 there for Ignium Motorsport to make it an all-Norwegian podium. I'm sure they'll already be dropping me some messages in at the official Discord with the fact we see another Norwegian podium. The last time we saw that was in the UK Sim Racing GT3 League at Season 10, I do believe. Jack Taylor, P4 there, a great debut for the Tiki Simsport Hawker driver, really deserved P4 with that, and fighting very hard in the end. What would have been definitely a top 5, but then being rewarded with a top 4 given the retirement of Harold Chatatas, and keeping Reece Saunders at bay for Team Year 1, and only 12.5 seconds separating the top 5 in the end. You could not have cut the tension closer than that. Reece Saunders at P5 ahead of Joshua Pratt, with Pratt leading ahead of UK Sim Racing Hills Peter Cox and Adrian Kukulis P8, ahead of Kerry F. Kokoran a lap down for Downforce Racing, and 2 laps down due to the retirement Harold Chatatas P10 for Over Limit Racing. We then come lastly, but by no means least, the GT3 AM class. As we can see here, Mark Collocott, your winner for AI Racing Race DCW Racing, 32 seconds clear of Mark Johnson for UK Sim Racing Mansell, and UK Sim Racing Hills James Conley completing the podium there in what was a 2-3 day for UK Sim Racing, and a great day for both drivers. Starting on Sunny, P4 Race Lab Esports Car X, perhaps not able to replicate the heroics of his sister team drivers in the GT3 Pro class, but he'll be absolutely pleased with that P4. 90 wasn't quite on the pace day from what we could see, but still keeping his head down and keeping that momentum forward. And Dirty Rice Racing, Nicholas Rice completing the top 5, a great recovery from the back of the field after that lap 1 spin. Matt Edmondson at P6 for UK Sim Racing Hill, a lap down the end, but still taking a good result just outside the top 5 ahead of Thomas Barjuk, with Jack Barker, John Davis and Simon Hartley completing your finishes inside the top 10 there, on a lap or on the leading lap or a lap down. And then Simon Hartley being followed up by Andy Skinner, P11 Tiki Simsport, 2 laps down, and Lawrence Marsh being your sole retiree for Downforce Racing and a non-finisher given the fact he didn't make the halfway point of the race. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our run through of the provisional results. And now, of course, we're going to be very shortly taking a breather before we do bring you the post-round interviews of our volunteer drivers. But if you have been enjoying the racing today, and if you've ever thought about supporting at UK Sim Racing, there's multiple ways to do so. First of which, if you're not following us on Twitch right now, we do recommend you do follow us on Twitch for the simple reason that way you can stay up to date with all the latest broadcasts as they do become available live only on the UK Sim Racing Twitch channel. But alternatively, if you don't want to follow us on Twitch, or you already do, and perhaps you want to support UK Sim Racing via an alternative means, did you know there's a quick way to do so via our affiliates? For UK Sim Racing is affiliated with multiple sim racing and real-world motorsport companies that do include but are not limited to Race Anywhere, Swello Meta Sim Racing Coaching and Demon Tweaks. And if you do head to our website, that's uksimracing.co.uk today, and that website will appear on your screen now, and there it is in its full splendour. You'll notice there's a link to our official Discord in the top right corner of it. Now if you click on that, you'll be taken to our Discord and you'll join it automatically. And why would you want to join the UK Sim Racing Discord? Well, there's 2 reasons. Firstly, if you ever want to be on the grid for an official UK Sim Racing series or one-off event, you need to be part of the Discord in order to attend the mandatory driver briefings before you can go racing. But secondly, and perhaps more relevant to today, in the fact that only on our Discord will there be discount codes provided by our affiliates. And if you do use one of those codes as part of your purchase, it puts you in pole position to be able to receive a discount, which is a win for you, but it's also a win for the wider UK Sim Racing community, because we are a non-profit organisation, and that means every penny and pound we make from a kickback from an affiliate earning will be invested into future series, such as future seasons of the UK Sim Racing Porsche Cup, the GT3 League, and also the now new to the scene GT3-GTP Multiclass League. So there's plenty more to come at UK Sim Racing. Our affiliate earnings all go into that. So do remember, a little purchase can go a long way in supporting UK Sim Racers as we go from strength to strength and get ready for 2024. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we now get ready for our post-round interviews of our drivers. We'll be back in approximately 10 minutes' time. Don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss them. We'll see you very shortly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and set for our post-round interviews with our volunteer drivers. And today we're going to be hearing from 3 drivers, all from the GT3 class, and we're going to be having 2 GT3 pros as split by a GT3 AM. We're going to be starting off from hearing from our race winner in the GT3 pro class of Race Lab Esports Moses Anders Myra. We'll then come into our GT3 AM winner of Mark Kolokot for AI Racing DCW Racing, and then we'll be coming back to the GT3 pro class for another Race Lab Esports driver, Eric Rosev, the #1 driver there and the runner-up from today. And what a race it was in the GT3 Pro class. We'll get to hear the story from the perspective of the 1-2 drivers in the end. But first off, let's start with our winner of the class today, Anders Myra, as he joins me now in the interview room. Anders, what a race today. It didn't look as though things were going your way come qualifying and P4 on the grid, but once the lights were out and we went racing, you definitely were on course to try and challenge for the win today, and in the end bringing it on home, albeit some unexpected circumstances right at the end as well. But even before all that, strategy working out, battling aplenty, and a BMW that never looked as though it was ever going to go slow.
Real shame for Yatutus. I feel really bad for him. He did amazing from qualifying and throughout the race, and to lose connection like that, it's yeah. I really feel for him, but I was struggling in practice. It felt okay, and I came into qualifying, and I was, you have a routine, you get in your zone, and then I was impeded on my first lap and messed up my second try, so I kind of lost my mojo from practice. So from there on, I struggled a lot. I didn't get, like, the first couple of laps in the race was okay, and then I got pushed off by a LMDH in T1, and it was always a bit of up and down, so it was hard to find the rhythm. But in the end, we managed to pull through.
Oh, indeed. Having to work hard all the way through from today. And speaking of qualifying, losing your rhythm to a degree, but I have to ask, going into this round, did you feel as though perhaps pole position was yours to take, given the straight line speed of the BMW?
To be honest, yeah, I felt like the pace I had in practice, I felt really comfortable. I haven't seen the times of the others during practice, but I just felt like I was strong coming into this. It's only 1 month ago that I was at the ADAC Sim Racing Expo and did the GT500 race there with the BMW, and I knew from that the Ferrari and probably the Mercedes was a bit stronger than our car. At least it was in the Sim Expo race, but I still felt quite comfortable that I would have the pace, and in the end I had, but just losing the rhythm in quali and then not being able to get it back as soon as I wanted.
And with regards to that, you talk about losing the rhythm in qualifying. This circuit, of course, being multiple straights in the first half and then sweeping corners in the second half. I have to ask, for you, finding a rhythm out here, what does that mean exactly for the viewers at home? Because I wouldn't normally associate perhaps the Red Bull Ring as a circuit where you find a natural rhythm.
No, it's kind of you have a T1, which in my mind is one of the most difficult corners of the service, because there's so small margin between braking too much and braking too late, and you can clip the curb on the exit, and it's so many ways you can lose time. And I felt through practice that I didn't mess up T1 almost a single time. And when I started, when qualifying started going bad, I started messing up T1, and then maybe I braked a bit too late into turn 3, and it kind of, it's that sort of thing. And it looks like a really simple track when you look at the track map, but I feel like tracks like this are almost even more difficult, because you have a long straight and then into hard braking, and you have to carry the speed through the turns. And like on a track like, for example, Hungaroring, you're always in the rhythm with corners and not that many long straights, so the braking points are easier to hit. But here you have such a high speed going into every corner, so I feel like this is a track that I find quite difficult, but it's fun when you nail it.
Oh, indeed. I can appreciate the fun side. And going into the race, it looked as though you had a lot of fun. Although, with the race start, it looked as though out of the top 4, you had the best start of everybody. But as soon as you tried to get up to speed, you had your teammate Eric right in the way going into turn number 1. Was there a bit of contact between the two? Because it looked as though you almost pushed him into the corner.
I did. It's always difficult when you start P2, because you are by the side of the leader, which makes it a bit, even if you have triple screens, it's always a bit more difficult to see when he gets on the throttle. So I saw that Eric was a bit later than me, so I said to Eric, I'm gonna push you, just keep your line. And I had to let I think it was Chris Saunders I had to let him go into T1, but I got a good run on the exit, so I could get him again in T3. But yeah, I pushed Eric into T1.
Oh, indeed. And then coming on to that opening 30 minutes of the race, we saw after you retook P3 off of Reese, starting to break away yourself, Harold Stratatis, and also Eric. And throughout, it looked as though the three of you were inseparable, albeit when the GTPs came along and decided they need to take over the track for a brief period of time. But through all of that, what was the strategy? Were you hoping that fuel saving would be the key to victory, or were you thinking the move was going to come at some point?
Yeah, I was just fuel saving, and I was about to tell Eric that maybe we should try to pass. I know Tutas was probably fuel saving as well, but I felt like on the first stint that me and Eric was pretty strong. So I felt like I don't know. It's hard to say when you're behind, but I just felt like we could have made a move and then tried to get away. But I bet Tutas would probably just took at us. I think he had more pace than he showed in the opening laps with just fuel saving and tire management. But yeah, I think in the first, I saw that even if we were taking it pretty easy with the tires and fuel in the first, there was some battling behind, so we got away from the guys behind. But yeah, up until the point that the GT3 were catching up, and I had my incident with one of them in T1. I kind of lost, I think, about 2.5 seconds, and I almost lost a place to Grebsta as well. So yeah, in the beginning, just about fuel saving and trying to survive the traffic.
Oh, goodness me. And well, with that in mind and having to negotiate the traffic but also keep with the guys in front, we then come around to the pit stop period, and we did see Eric be one of the first to come into the pit, albeit Hekon was the very first driver to make their way into the pit. But out of the three of you, it was Eric first. He comes out a little bit further behind, and then yourself and Heroldus both come into the pits. You notice the tell when you exit the pit lane, and then it once again becomes a three-way battle, but this time, nobody's saving fuel.
No, I think I don't know if Yatutas took tires because I took rear tires, which probably wasn't the smartest thing I've done today because the car got really understeery for the last stint. But he gained a little bit on me on the outlap, seeing as he didn't take tires, so his tires were kind of where they should be when he got out. And then he was really unlucky with the blue flag traffic. That didn't want to move out the way, so I just had to take the opportunity I got and passed him. But yeah, Eric decided to go a lap earlier because he said he hadn't practiced the pit entry as he knew I have done, so he didn't want to slow me down into the pits. But so a bit of team strategy there. But yeah, the Tutas had a good pit stop and a good outlap, and I'm not sure if I would have made the move without the blue flag guys. So I was a bit lucky as well.
It all came down to circumstance, but brilliant batting all the way through, and then taking the lead. And I think for the final 15 minutes, it looked as though yourself and Eric trying to work a 1-2, albeit Heroldus right between the two of you and eager to try and take the lead back. I mean, that must have been a very difficult situation to manage, given you have the speed in the BMW, but it's in the corners where that Porsche bites back.
Yeah, it was really stressful because in the middle sector, he was so much faster than me because I struggled. So I think he was still faster than me in the middle sector the whole race, but it was even more visible at the end, seeing as me taking rear tires, I didn't get the rotation that I needed. I got the traction, but not the rotation. So I was really slow in the middle sector, and so he caught up to me really badly there. And Eric said that he was going to try to make a move, to take the pressure off me, but Yatutas was so fast out of the corners, so he didn't really get the chance to make a move. So yeah, it was all out. I was fuel saving a little bit on the on the first couple of laps after I passed him, because you're always on the limit on the fuel in the pit stops to save time. But yeah, it was stressful, and I think out of the three of us, maybe Yatutas was the fastest at the final stint. But I don't know. It's hard to say since he dropped out, but maybe I could have defended and managed to win anyways. But definitely he would be P2, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, most definitely. And heartbreak for everybody involved seeing your main rival fall out of the race at such a close juncture. But of course, that's racing. It can happen in the real world just as much on the simulator. But then coming to the very end, it's the first time this season that we've seen the team be able to achieve a 1-2 within the GT3 Pro class. And it must have felt pretty special coming across the line. We saw you both line up for the formation finish. And I can imagine there were quite a few screams of joy amongst the team radio.
Yeah, definitely. It's always fun when they can finish like this as a team. And I don't know if I mentioned it on this broadcast before, but Eric was in our amateur team in the spring, like in around March. We were doing a league, and he was always constantly maybe between 1.5 and 2 seconds behind me every lap. And now he's sometimes beating me in qualifying. So the improvements he have had this year is pretty remarkable, and it's making me having to drive faster as well. So it benefits everyone in the team that we had made a decision to make a rookie division in the team. So they caught up way faster than we thought. So now we have to work just as hard to improve. So yeah, it's really fun to see how far the team has come, and everything we achieve in terms of sponsorships, and now we have a car in real life that we started driving with as well, some races. And yeah, the way the team is going is it's a really fun journey to be a part of.
Oh, that's absolutely great to hear. And today's win marking another key step in that long journey for RaceLab Esports. And will you say about hard work? There's still hard work to do here in the GT3 Pro Championship. 2 rounds remain, and in a week's time, it's Daytona. How are you feeling for a visit to the US of A?
Oh, it's gonna be nice. I think the the infield section of the track will be a bit difficult with the BMW, but I will do my best. I have a lot of races coming up this week with the Apex Porsche Cup on Tuesday and the NEAM. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the Northern European Esport Masters coming up on Saturday, and the UK SR on Sunday. So I will try to do my best to get the practice needed in, but it's probably gonna be a draft fest. If not, Yatutas can drop us all in the infield part of the track.
Oh, goodness me. Anders, you're an extremely busy man, and the fact that you're battling on so many fronts and leagues and also attacking full energy in the UK Sim Racing at GT3-GTP Multiclass League is fantastic to hear and see, and you're bringing it every week, week in, week out. With Daytona around the corner, and we wish you all the best in your preparations for that, and of course the events upcoming, including NEAM. I have to ask, just before we do let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the team and to our main sponsor, Racing Lab.no, CarX.no, KTM, Azatec Sim Sports, and Mosa for their support. And I have to give a big thanks to the organizers of the series. It's my first season in it, and it's been, even with the traffic, it's been pretty good. And a big thanks to you for the amazing broadcast.
Well, Anders, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you join me in the interview room. Congratulations once again on a hard-fought and hard-earned winning class. We look forward to plenty more from yourself at Daytona in a week's time. But until then, all the best in your upcoming racing this week, and we'll see you in the US of A next Sunday.
Thank you.
So hearing up there from our GT3 Pro winner today from RaceLab Esports Mosa, Anders Myra, and he sounds absolutely calm and collected, even though it is into you, albeit he's joyous about his victory, but it sounds as though he's ready to go racing at once again, although I think the energy levels might be starting to drain, and perhaps there's a little bit of adrenaline kicking in. But talking there firstly about the fact things didn't go right in qualifying and not finding his rhythm in qualifying, and therefore feeling as though he missed out on pole, which he had confidence he'd be able to take in the BMW M4. And that's very interesting in the fact with that P4 qualifying position having to really battle his way through, but also alluded to there and talking about explicitly the fact that in the end a poor start from Eric in front of him, albeit a P2 start being alongside the leader. It's always difficult to judge when the leader exactly goes, but Anders immediately pushed his teammate forward, and needing to, given the fact that he had Rhys Saunders and also Hekon Gustad immediately alongside and behind and looking to take the places. But after everything had settled down, over the opening couple of laps. That's when we started to see the battle for the lead go down to the three drivers, with Anders in the end hooking himself to the strategy Herodes Tatartus, but Eric coming in a lap earlier because he hadn't practiced, and we'll hear more about that from Eric later on in his interview about that pit lane entry. But when it all came to a close, making the move for the lead with laps remaining, traffic working out in Anders' favour, and well, with Herodes' unfortunate retirement does spoil what could have been, but still at the same time Anders having the confidence he might have been able to hold on, and understandable given how hard he worked to the win, and what another win in his book with only 2 rounds to go. Plenty of races still to come for him, both outside this league and within it, but can he continue his winning streak and potentially take that championship fight all the way to the end versus the over-limit racing driver Herodes Tatartus? Well, only time will tell, and Daytona will be the big telling point. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we come to our second interview of the day, and that is going to be to our GT3 AM winner, and that will be none other than Mark Collicott, who gets ready to join me in the interview room. And as he does so, we're going to be hearing the story of what definitely has been a day of 2 halves, starting with a qualifying session which was right up against the wall, and then a race which was a lot calmer after his rival found contact with a wall. But we bring him into the interview room now, and as he joins me very shortly, I believe we're having a slight technical issue in getting Mark to join me in at the interview room, so we're going to have to work around this very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. And well, as we do try to get things fixed, we do apologise for this, but instead we might have to switch things up a little bit here in terms of what we're doing off screen. But as we get things sorted, and give us a brief moment, ladies and gentlemen, also talking about the fact that with regards to Mark's performances, another win to his flavour. And as he joins me now, and apologies, Mark, for the slight delay there. Oh, goodness me, I think we might have just lost Mark from our interview room there. A bit of connectivity kicking away. Well, it looks like we've been blighted with some slight technical issues. He returns. Mark, are you there?
Yes, indeed. Hi, Paul.
Oh, brilliant. Apologies for the slight technical roundhouse of bringing into an alternative voice chat. Slight permissions issue there, but we've got that sorted out. We're able to catch up with you. And more importantly, how do you feel today after adding another win to your series of wins in the GT3 AM class, albeit having to do it the hard way after a challenging qualifying session?
Yeah, overall, obviously really chuffed, but yeah, it was it was a really challenging race just with the traffic on such a challenging track, such a short track. But yeah, I was disappointed because it seems to be between Nicholas Rice and myself, and for the first time we qualified next to each other on the circuit, on the track. And unfortunately, I felt really bad for him, but Nicholas spun obviously on lap 1. So I was disappointed with that because I thought we were going to be able to finally have a good battle, as opposed to sort of it coming down to sort of fuel strategy and things like that. So disappointed with that, but overall very pleased with the win.
Oh, most definitely. I'm with you on that. And we were quite heart in mouth here in the commentary booth for what happened to Nicholas Rice at the start of the race, and really taking away what could have been that back and forth battle between the two of you. But still, we got to see shades of that in qualifying, with Nicholas being able to out-qualify you by just over a 10th in the end in the rival of the Ferrari versus the Porsche. How did you feel qualifying went for yourself, knowing the Porsche not the strongest car here, particularly in the first half of the lap?
No, it was challenging. I think that was quite a good reflection of the pace I had, to be fair. I don't think I had much in me. I might have been able to sort of squeeze another 10th or so out, and a couple of times I was up again on other laps, but then it just lost the advantage again on another turn. So yeah, I think that was a fair reflection of the pace today in that car. So I wasn't disappointed with the result. I knew it was going to be close with Nicholas and myself, because we've been in the same practice session once or twice this week. IMSA practice session, and we've been there or thereabouts. So yeah, overall I was happy that with that result in the end in the starting position.
And a good result in qualifying, setting us up for an absolutely thrilling battle between the two of you. And in lap number 1, looked as though a rather calm lap from yourself, but for Nicholas it went wrong. Just take us through that opening lap and the realisation when you saw your rival go spinning off the circuit.
Yeah, so coming away from the start, we sort of went into turn one side by side, and I thought, we gave each other. I think we did tap each other, brushed door mirrors, to just coming off the turn there. But we gave each other room, and both survived that. And then sort of there was the long drag down to the hairpin at the top of the hill. So it was neck and neck at that point. I slipped back in behind Nicholas Rice and sort of played I was ready to play the long game really, and then unfortunately, I think he just put the power down too soon on the exit of the hairpin there and lost it. So it was a shame for Nicholas. I did feel sorry for him.
Now, of course, with your main rival at that point ended up in contact with the barrier and needing to take repair work and with it an additional pit stop, you've got the pace to lead the race and you're breaking away, but then the GTP traffic starts to factor in, and well, from a GT3 driver's perspective, it's not easy to manage that traffic coming through, particularly at a stop-start circuit like the Red Bull Ring.
Oh, absolutely crazy. It was, and I've had a busy week, so I've not done any officials this week at all. So the only sort of, practice of managing the traffic has just been in practice sessions. So it was all about survival today, really, for me. And that was my aim, was just to get to the end of the race. And fortunately, I was able to do that. But yeah, it was horrendous. It was like it just felt like they were swarming around us just relentlessly for the whole race. So yeah, it was just a matter of survival.
Oh, goodness me. And with that survival, are there any sort of tips you could give our viewers out there, given the fact they've watched today and they might be keen to do some multi-class race at home? What's the number one thing you kept in mind when trying to survive the multi-class traffic?
It obviously you just got to pay attention to the rearview mirror and just and your relatives, and just anticipate when the GTPs are going to be arriving, and then I think generally the standard tonight, considering the track and the speed differences between the two classes, I think was actually really good. I thought it was going to be absolute mayhem with crashes here, left, right, and center. It may have happened, but it certainly didn't happen around me. And I think overall the respect given by all was actually really good and a good example. But yeah, it's just being absolutely aware of who's coming up behind you in the GTP class, and just anticipating where they're going to be coming up beside you, and just watching out for those sort of last second sort of lunges into the apexes, and just being cautious really.
Well, appreciate the insight there. And then coming back to your race today, of course, strategy being a big part of making sure you come out in clear air, albeit leading the race by quite a margin come the time you came for your pit stop. Did you go with your expected strategy today, or did you tweak it at all?
No, not at all. I started with a full tank, I just ran till I was empty on that first stint. I knew I had a fairly decent gap to second place, but I had no, I until the end of the race, I had no idea how far ahead I was, because I didn't have anybody in the amateurs showing on my relative at all. So I was like, well, where are they? I didn't know if they were 10 seconds behind or 20 or whatever at any point of the race. So it was really just a case of just getting my head down and just concentrating, keeping the pace up, and doing my own thing really. And so strategy wise, I just ran till empty on the first stint, and then just came in when I had to.
Well, standardised strategy then, and managing the race all the way through it to the checkered flag, and with it now making it 2 wins in a row, and with it I believe your 4th win of the season thus far. I mean, you're now the favourite for the championship, there's no doubt about it, but we've got 2 rounds to go, and in a week's time it's Daytona. How are you feeling for a visit to the US of A?
I think being in the Porth, I think it's going to be challenging. I think it's going to struggle on the straight. But I'm hoping that it'd be enough on the brake. It's a good car with the brakes, and it's good at getting the power on it nice and early as well. So I'm hoping the infield section I'll be able to make up the time that I'm likely to lose on the berms, etc. So hopefully I'll be able to put in a good performance and keep the lap times up to a relatively good point.
We do look forward to seeing you push the Porsche to its limit at Daytona, and just the thought that you could potentially, not completely, but put yourself in an extremely advantageous position, effectively crowning yourself as champion before Silverstone next week, should the results go your way?
Yeah, I'm not going to rest on my laurels because I know Nicholas Rice is really quick. I think he's going to be the main person I need to be concerned about, and it's only going to take a DNF with a 0 to change things around, because I've already got 2 drop rounds of 0 because I didn't make 2 races. I joined the season late after round 1 had already. No, I didn't join it late, but I missed the first round. Yeah, those 2 2 zeros that I've got, it's only going to take another DNF, and like it could all be game on again. So yeah, it's just, for me now, I think for the last 2 rounds it's just all about survival and just getting a respectable position each race, and not necessarily, I think I've got to use my brain rather than my heart, and not necessarily go for the win if I don't need to. So yeah, it's just gonna be a case of just racing to get to the end, and in a relatively good position, and I should then take take the win comfortably.
I'm liking the approach there. Definitely a drive smarter, not harder approach to that championship crown, and we look forward to seeing you execute that at Daytona. But Mark, just before I do let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
Just good to yourself, really, Paul. So and obviously, the broadcasts every week. I always enjoy going back and watching the broadcasts. I think the way you do that is brilliant. There's a good amount of coverage for all the classes. So yeah, but thank you again. I look forward to watching back tonight's race. I've really enjoyed doing that, and also to the organisers who have put on a really good season so far, and obviously the competitors as well.
Well, it's my pleasure, Mark, and it's been an absolute pleasure to have you join me in the interview room. As always, congratulations on what was a demonstration of a perfect win at the Red Bull Ring in the GT3 AM class. You had to work for it in qualifying after the rivalry of Nicholas Rice really coming to the fore there, with 2 rounds to go. We wish you all the best in your preparations for Daytona, and look forward to seeing you out of the circuit once again in a week's time. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your evening.
Thank you, Paul. Take care.
So hearing it there from Mark Collicott, the GT3 AM driver from AI Racing, his DCW Racing, and very interesting to hear his perspective on tonight, particularly the fact, much like I think we'd all agree, seeing Rice out-qualify, or Nicholas Rice out-qualify Mark going into the race itself, is something we haven't seen thus far this season on a regular basis, and therefore with the two of them lining up together, bit of a battle between them as they made their way through the opening corners, but then at turn number 7 and 8, it all unfolded unfavourably for the challenger of Nicholas Rice, and from that point onwards for Mark, it was another day in the office, albeit having to be wary of the GTP traffic and given his insights with regards to approaching the multi-class racing when you're in the slower class, and still not taking anything for granted until the checker flag fell, sticking to his standard strategy, the one he'd thought about going into tonight, and really racing smart. And then coming on to talking about the fact, really taking the race in 1 round at a time and not expecting anything out of Daytona other than looking to get a good result out of the car. If you can go for the win, go for it, but otherwise be smart about it, take the result that's available to him, and then go into that season finale with the best possible advantage. And that's why he's your championship leader, and that's why he was your winner tonight, when everything went wrong for his rival, but everything went right for Mark Collicott. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we come on to our final interview of the day, and that is going to be returning to the GT3 Pro class, and to the man who finished second place. It's going to be none other than Eric Rosev, and it's always a joy to speak to Eric, I must say. He's always got a unique perspective on the racing, and as he now gets ready to join me in the interview room, well, we're going to hear his story and more as he now joins me. Good evening to you, Eric, and I appreciate you patiently waiting as our third and final interview for today. But a second place finish and the second spot of a 1-2 for Racing Lab Esports to the GT3 Pro class. I mean, you had to earn it the hard way. You had to push every step of the way, and in the end, a little bit of luck falling your way with your rival Herodas Jatatis having an unfortunate disconnect. But every step of the way tonight, it must have been an uphill battle.
Good evening, Paul. In my mind, my result today was P3. Haroldas really deserved to finish the race today. He was quick. But yeah, we have to. I can't exactly give up a place because he beats odds. So it's unfortunate, but he'll come back stronger.
Well, indeed, very unfortunate for your rival, but what a night it's been in terms of battling with Heroldus and indeed the wider GT Pro class. And let's start off with qualifying P2 in class in a session which saw the best part of 7 drivers be provisional pole sitter at some point, including yourself. I mean, we couldn't predict how it was all going to end in qualifying, but in the end, in terms of the relative times between drivers, I do believe, as I just double check my notes here, yourself and Jotatas being separated by 2 thousandths at the close of the qualifying session. I mean, you couldn't ask for a closer session than that.
That was a close one. I was a bit bummed, to be honest, when I set my personal best lap in qualifying today, and Jotatas beat me with 0.002 of a second. But he's quick. I know he's quick, and I never go into UKSR anymore thinking I'm the quickest guy. With the likes of Haroldas and Anders Myhre, and so forth. And we had Grebstad and Rhys Saunders on the grid today as well. So I went into qualifying thinking qualifying was going to be tough. I didn't exactly find my rhythm through practice. And I'm massively hungover today, so I did the absolute best I could considering the circumstances around tonight.
Oh, goodness me. Well, I appreciate you being a bit transparent about the hangover there. Hopefully not trying to channel your inner Finn in the form of Kimi Räikkönen, perhaps. But still, at the same time, Eric, coming into this then with a bit of a hangover and taking P2 on the grid, that's an achievement given how stacked the GT3 Pro class was at the front of the field. And then when we went racing, a bit of a slow start for yourself, albeit pushed along a little bit by Anders behind.
Yeah, Anders gave me a little push through up into T1. I saw Rhys behind me going for the dive on Anders, and I immediately said to Anders, "You shouldn't have done that because you just ruined your first lap." But he was a bit bummed about qualifying as well, so he figured he could give me a push to keep up with Haroldas on the outlap. And yeah, right from the start, it was just it was like a game, really, because we were also similar on pace. So it was just a question about who could save the most amount of fuel and have the quickest pit stop, in my opinion. I did have some pace, and could have maybe went past Haroldas on the first stint. But I had some points in the first stint where I was a bit unlucky with the GTP traffic, which just made me sit behind him and just try to get a quick pit stop. But I suck at the pit entry here, so I lost a massive amount of time on the pit entry, and I also got stuck behind some traffic at the outlap after the pits, so the undercut didn't exactly work out the way I planned. But yeah, right from the get-go, it was a fight for the top 3 spots all the way to the end.
Oh, most definitely. And on that point about pit entry and going for the undercut, what do you feel you perhaps struggle with on the pit entry at this circuit? I mean, it's the very fast downhill run into the pits, now sudden stop, and it seems to perhaps catch you out slightly.
Yeah, I really struggle with pit entries on most of the tracks. I just don't practice them enough. And coming into tonight being in such bad shape the entire day, I haven't exactly been in the rig trying to figure it out either. So it's just a matter of me getting into practice with it.
I see. And then coming from pit entry to that second stint of the race, we saw at first with the gap between yourself and what was the battle between Anders and Haroldas, 2.5 seconds, but gradually closing with the two of them fighting hard, and then chasing after them with Anders having got ahead and trying to work for a 1-2 finish in the end.
I was really trying to push at the end there. Not exactly to go for the P2, but to stress Haroldas a bit to get Anders to get a bit of space between them. But I was when closing in on the second stint, I had to back off a bit because of fuel. I wouldn't have made it to the line if I weren't to back off a little bit. I underfueled like a liter too little, so I had to fuel save a bit. But then he just vanished, and the P2 was there. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Haroldos, but fortunate for me, of course. But I was really bummed about Haroldos not making it to the end. It was like 2 laps to go, so it sucks. It was such a good fight, so I wanted to fight to the end.
Oh, 100%. I think we'd all agree with you on that one, Eric. We never want to see a pair of rivals separate in the end by an unfortunate technical issue with one of the cars. And I have to ask, in that battle back and forth, of course, we had the BMW leading the way, straight line speed monster, and then we had the Porsche, which is all about the corners and rotation. But where did you feel the Ferrari fitted into that equation? Because we've seen the Ferrari goes very quickly in the toe, but it's also a bit of a handling machine in its own right.
Yeah, the Ferrari it's a decent machine all around, but I really noticed, especially at the exit of T3 and turn 4, that at least the Porsche got the power down much quicker. I ended up right at the back of Haroldos every single time we went close into turn 3, but he always ran off at the exit. And it was a bit slidey through the middle section, through sector 2. And I had to be a bit cautious in the last sector to not run off track at the final turn. But all in all, it's a decent car. But I really miss the Porsche. I do.
You may miss the Porsche, but you're making the Ferrari work magic. There's no doubt about it. And now 2 rounds remain. There's 30 points between yourself and Haroldos at the top of the standings. And in a week's time, we head to Daytona for round number 9. How are you feeling for the return to the US of A?
Hope I can do good at Daytona because it's my favorite track. I've been looking forward to this round the entire season. I also feel like I'm in the right car, considering the straight line speed and that it also handles quite good. So the in section might not be as tricky as it's with, for example, in my opinion, a boat like the Mercedes. Yeah, so I feel good going into Daytona, but I know there's some fast boys here, so I'm not taking anything for granted.
And we look forward to seeing how you get on that Daytona and whether you can make that Ferrari run to the top step of the podium and take things down to the wire in our season finale at Silverstone. But Eric, just before we do let you go, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast tonight?
As always, I'm going to thank UKSR for managing this league. Also thanks to you, Paul, for always delivering a great broadcast. Always fun to watch back. And yeah, of course, my team and my teammates, our owners, Racing Lab, our sponsors, KTM, CarX, Mosa, and Winstra Motorsports Arena. And yeah, that's it.
Well, Eric, it's been an absolute blast having you join me in the interview room, and congratulations once again. And like you say, a third place at the circuit if your rival had not had the unfortunate end, but a second place is classified, all things said and done. Stellar driving and racing from yourself today, and we look forward to plenty more at Daytona in a week's time. But until then, take it easy, rest well, and we'll catch you next Sunday.
Thank you so much, Paul. We'll talk.
So hearing there from our final interview today, the #1 driver in terms of his door number, Eric Rosev in the GT3 Pro class. And the Racing Lab Esports KTM driver coming into today, not in 100% condition, admitting he's hungover slightly. I think with a bit of a tipple, it hasn't quite gone the wrong way. If anything, it's gone the right way. And in qualifying, P2 with a personal best lap, and you could hear that in his voice when he mentioned the fact to take provisional pole, set a personal best at the Red Bull Ring, and then find that your rival goes 2 thousandths faster. It really is one of those moments where it can knock the wind out of your sails, and I think it was for Eric one of those times where he definitely felt as though, what do I have to do to put it on pole versus Heroldus? But in the end, it led to an absolutely spectacular battle for the win between the three drivers, with Anders Murray getting involved. And talking about the fact there, Hansi pushed along and not agreeing perhaps with his teammate, giving him the push at the start after the slow start from Eric, but still they worked past it, worked their way into a top 3 fight, and from there it was gloves off. Strategy playing a key part as well, but admitting that the undercut didn't work as he hasn't quite had the time to practice that pit entry, and therefore losing time. But with Anders and Heroldus battling one another hard all the way through that second stint, it brought the trio back together, and well then Anders taking the lead and trying to work with Eric to make a 1-2 happen. But Heroldus not really giving in and finding a way to frustrate the Racing Lab esports drivers until fortune would strike and it would go against the over limit racing driver, seeing him retire from the race with only laps remaining. And it was a 1-2 today as classified for the Racing Lab esports team. But you can understand why Eric has said, really, I finished this race in P3. So at the end of the day, nobody wants to win or take a major result off of their rival by seeing their rival have a technical issue. They want to do it on circuit. These guys are true born and bred racers, and fantastic to hear that commitment to the racing from them. And for Eric today, definitely a strong result and looking to go even further at Daytona and potentially take another win. But we have to wait and see where he's able to do so in such a strong field of cars in the GT3 Pro Class this season. But we've got plenty more to come in our penultimate round next Sunday, and he's looking forward to it, there's no doubt about it. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our interviews for today. And just to remind you, you've heard from just now Eric Rosa from Racing Lab Esports KTM in the GT3 Pro Class, but you also previously heard from Anders Meyer in the Racing Lab Esports Moser number 20 for the GT3 Pro Class, and in between the two of them, Mark Collicott for AI Race Summaries DCW Racing, your GT3 AM winner today. Congratulations to all three of our drivers, their fantastic performances at the Red Bull Ring, and we look forward to plenty more from them in a week's time at Daytona. And also thank you to them all for joining me in the interview room. But with that, it is now time to give you an update on the provisional standings after 8 rounds of 10. And as we can see after today's races, starting with the GTP Pro Class, it's Austin William Campbell, whose win today and a perfect score there moves him clear of Joshua Wilson, whose unfortunate retirement at the end of today will lead to him using this as a drop score, but it means he now does fall a considerable way down, albeit it's not an unreachable gap to cross, with the gap between the two drivers standing at 16 points and every point pivotal as of next week's round and onwards into the finale. But from the Effect Simulations driver, it's Alex Hill, who moves into P3 on 192 points, and again the Tiki Simsport Corporate driver demonstrating that sometimes just being consistent, much like Austin William Campbell at the front of the field, is what gives you the major championship results. And Hill right now on course for one of the best ever results we've seen from a driver who's only managed to pick up one podium over the entirety of the season, and that would be incredible to see him finish P3 at the end, there's no doubt about it. Cy Anthony a further 3 points behind, with Sam Sherwood a point off of him, so the fight right now for the win, and indeed all three of the top places wide open. And then you come to Ryan Davies, P6 for Tiki Simsport, 176 points, only ahead of Alexander Truman McCallison based on result countback. And then we have one of the biggest names who wasn't on the grid today, P8 for Effect Simulations of Paul Busby, down 164 points, a 0 score from today, and he'll know now that every set of points going forward matters most if he wants to jump his way back into the top 5 and potentially sweep the crown away from Austin William Campbell and company. But the same could be said for Ben Cullen, P9 for Effect Simulations on 149 points, 13 clear of Joe Newman for Empire Motorsport, when unfortunate retirement today for the Empire Motorsport driver, meaning he now has 2 drop scores of 0 and also 2 0 scores to his name. It's been a championship campaign blighted with difficulty after the season opener. And then Jonathan Hitchin, P11 for Symphona ahead of Andy Dawson. And well, we can see out there the battle between the trio for P10 standing at 13 points, with Hitchin right in between and having one of his greatest performances today of the season. Darren Norquette, P13 with the race ban being served, expecting to be back on the grid as of next week for Racing Forces, ahead of Alistair Kirk, Matt Strand and Sam Congreve, and that's how your GTP Pro standing stand. We now come on to the GTP AM class, and here we can see the complexion. It's a little bit different in the fact we only have 4 points between the top two, but for the first time this season, Salvatore Guariento takes the lead for Miro.io by 4 points over David Larson for Symphony Esports, and Guariento's resurgence to that second place finish absolutely crucial in keeping his championship hunt alive. He's talked about all season the fact that he's hunting down that championship crown, and whether the results go his way or not, he's making it happen somehow. Meanwhile, behind the top two, Rudy Avitson a further 6 points behind with a third place finish today, and I expected one at that, but one that definitely deserved and keeps him in the hunt as well. 10 points off the leader, with Rob Armstrong and Billy Bob Ray completing your top five. Outside the top five, it's then a further 7 points to Aaron Beaver for UK Sim Racing Bell, with John Doble's unfortunate end of the race today, dropping him down the order, but it's a P7 there in the championship for the TQ Sim Sport Corporate driver, ahead of Dave Rutherstone, and then Ollie Pimley with another win, moving very quickly into the top 10, but how far can he go with only 2 rounds to go, given the fact it's mathematically not possible for him to win the championship, but he could still play a major part in influence in the wider championship in front of him. The DY13 Racing drives followed up by Alden Hegerseter, not on the grid today for Racing Lab Esports Moza, and their sport staying on 90 points, P10, ahead of Brandon Hay for Newbridge Esports P11, and then Richard Jones, James Foster, and Paul Joseph Cliff complete your championship standings. We then come to the GT3 Pro class, and in the top tier of our GT3s, it is Horodus Jatatas who continues to lead, albeit with that late retirement, his lead has been cut to 20 points over Eric Rozev. The over limit racing driver will now know he's got to push even higher over those limits if he wants to hold on, with Rozev trying to bring that gap down and feeling confident for Daytona in a week's time. But behind the race now, Esports KTM driver is sister team driver for the Moser outfit of Anders Myra in P3, and 4 points between the two of them, and working together to try and make it a 1-2 for the team in the championship when all is said and done. Adrian Kukulis in P4, the short competition esports drive absolutely assured with another clinical drive today, albeit not quite the result he perhaps wanted. It becomes a drop score, but he's 4 points clear of Joshua Pratt for Tiki Simsport, with Pete Cox a further 4 points behind their P6 for UK Sim Racing Hill, and the fight for fourth right now is most definitely on between these drivers, and Casper Brotner a bit further away, 21 points off of it. In the fact that Heckel Gustad in P7 for Ignium Motorsport wraps up that battle for P4 between the four drivers, and then it's Brotner in P8 for Old Dudes in Cars. Darren Sharples, P9 for UK Sim Racing Mansell, rounds off the top 10 ahead of Marvin Cruz, the Old Dudes in Cars driver, in that 10th place position, with Chris Kirtland P11 for Downforce Racing, 7 points behind, 2 clear of Ryan Moles, and then Aaron Vergawe, Thomas Aspaug, and Reece Saunders complete your top 15, with Saunders' performance today moving him back into the top 15 for the first time this season since the early stages. And it's Kerry Kokorin, Chris Constable, Daniel Pays, John Watt, and Jack Taylor who complete your top 20, with Taylor's debut today for Tiki Simsport Hawker doing him well with 35 points gained, and now looking to continue that run and try and creep into what would be the top 15 by the end of the season. And then outside the top 20, not to be forgotten about, Martin Tillin and John Maloney. We'll then come on to the GT3 AM standings, and here last but not least for our Drivers' Championships, it's Mark Collicott who leads the way for AI Racing with DCW Racing, and his advantage extended further ahead of Nicholas Rice, with the Dirty Rice Racing driver now 21 points behind, and with that 31 points behind. Let's do the mathematics correctly, and with that the mathematics are going against Rice in the fact he will need a perfect result at Daytona, and he will need Collicott to effectively have a retirement to level the playing field out as much as possible. But again, you never know what can happen in this championship. Outside the top two, Mark Johnson at P3 only 3 points off of Rice, and it definitely looks so a battle is burgeoning here for P2. Should Johnson's pace be able to get a bit closer to Nicholas Rice's pace in the remaining rounds, but in return Johnson needs to watch out for James Connolly and Steinar Sani, who are only 5 points between the two of them, and indeed encapsulating what is P3 through to P5, a grand total of 8 points between the trio. But it would be rude of us not to consider Lawrence Marsh of Downforce Racing, who not in attendance today, picks up a 0 score, and therefore with his drop scores now in effect, that 192 points stands and will take him all the way through it to the final 2 rounds. So it is 9 points that separates P6 through to P3, and a further 4 points behind it's Matt Edmondson for UK Sim Racing Hill, as he tries to battle uphill back into the top 5, with Thomas Barjak P8 there, the privateer ahead of John Davies for the Wrong Stuff, who moves into the top 10 and is looking on good form ahead of Cy Hartley for Tiki Simsport Toa, who wraps up the top 10. And it's Andy Skinner, Best Rest P11, 110 points, 2 clear of Jack Barker, while the privateer in the Audi continue to make headway. And then Satinder Deansert, Noel Killian, and Chris Bates complete your top 15, with Shaminda Deansert, Oyvind Breivik, Neil Smith, and BJ Alvarez completing your championship standings. But now we come to the Teams Championship standings, and here we can see the complexion is such that Symphony Esports lead the way after a great day today on 415 points, head to the 398 of Effect Simulations. With Effect Simulations team not fully on the grid today, Symphony Esports have definitely made it count, but remember, we could see them all back on the grid as of next week, and then it will be a dicey battle between the two of them for team supremacy. Racing Lab Esports KTM, they're a further 7 points behind in P3 and only 1 point ahead of UK Sim Racing Hill, as this team's championship is definitely stepping up a gear in the right to be crowned champion. Indeed, any of our top 3 finishing positions, with Racing Lab Esports Moser only a further 3 points further behind, and then Tiki Sim Sport Tower to note what is a sizable gap to the top 5, spanning the best part of 31 points. UK Sim Racing Mansell P7 are further 3 off of Tiki Sim Sport Cooper, with Tiki Sim Sport P8 ahead of UK Sim Racing Bell, and Empire Motorsport completing your top 10. But they're only in the top 10 based on result count, back ahead of Downforce Racing, who are P11 with 18 points to Racing Lab Esports CarX, and it's Miro.io, Old Dudes and Cars, and Sure Competition Esports who complete your top 15. Then 3 points over the top 15 ProTech Motorsport, with the top 20 being rounded out by AI Racing, DCW Racing, Tiki Sim Sport Tower, Over Limit Racing, and Dirty Rice Racing. And behind Dirty Rice Racing at P21 there on 171 points, it's Ignium Motorsport. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our top 20 recap of the Team's Championship standings, and it is now time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have enjoyed today's show and perhaps you want to know a little bit more about the UK sim racing community, perhaps you want to be on the grid for a future season of racing with us, or indeed just want to get to know the drivers and indeed the admins a little bit more, or everything in between, well, the first thing we recommend is to check out our website. That's uksimracing.co.uk, where you can find out all the latest information regarding our leagues, and indeed how you can join our Discord and plenty more. And you saw that website earlier on in today's broadcast, and we strongly recommend you check it out as your first source of information. But if you don't want to go to our website, or perhaps you're more of a social media person, then you can follow us on Twitter at our official Twitter. That's twitter.com/UKSimRacing_, where you can keep up to date with all the latest notifications regarding our upcoming series and leagues, and also the trials and tribulations of the UK Sim Racing official esports teams in iRacing official series and other leagues as well. Now, we'd also like to take this moment to say a big thank you to our affiliates, including Swelio Meda Sim Racing Coaching, the creator of the Motor Racing Checklist. Swelio Meda Sim Racing Coaching can help take your sim racing drive to the next level, whether you're looking to gain a 10th, improve your approach to the racing line, or you'll develop your consistency. Swelio Media has a coaching course to meet your needs. Plus, with Swelio being a multi-time champion of official iRacing series, which do include but are not limited to the 2021 PESCC, you're receiving coaching from the very best in the industry. We also have Race Anywhere, the provider of curated sim racing equipment aimed to only stock products that represent excellent value for the sim racing community. Demon Tweaks, the provider of the most complete and innovative motorsport product range available worldwide, so no matter what your level of discipline, Demon Tweaks could help drive you to realise your motorsport ambitions. SimLab, the leading manufacturer of high-quality sim racing-related hardware. As a proud partner of Mercedes-AMG Petronas Esports, SimLab aims to enhance virtual racing experiences with uncompromising solutions that push the boundaries of esports and make SimLab the go-to brand for quality sim racing rigs. Amazon, the company striving to be the Earth's most customer-centric company, the Earth's best employer, and the Earth's safest place to work through the provision of concepts pioneered by Amazon, which do include but are not limited to Amazon Alexa, Amazon Web Services, and Amazon Prime. And lastly, SRC Driver Academy, a division of sim racing community. Elevate your sim racing skills at SRC Driver Academy. Their team of experienced professionals is dedicated to helping you reach your full potential without compromising on quality. But why choose SRC? Affordable, quality coaching. They have experienced coaches who provide valuable insights and a competitive edge. They make high-quality coaching accessible to all and affordable costs tailored to your needs and goals. You learn race strategies, position driving, and much more. And they offer virtual coaching sessions at nearly all hours of the day, every day, ensuring flexibility for all. So join SRC Driver Academy today and unlock your true sim racing potential. Do visit their website to learn more and accelerate your sim racing career. But now, ladies and gentlemen, our attentions are turned to the penultimate round, and it will be a trip to Florida for the one and only Daytona International Speedway, with round number 9 of 10 taking place on Sunday, the 26th of November 2023. It is going to be a round that you have to be there to believe to see it, but with all of our championships right now coming down to the wire, who will be able to take victory at Daytona and potentially put themselves one step ahead into our season finale at Silverstone the week after? Well, we'll find out next weekend, but until then, we've been UK Sim Racing. I've been your host and commentator, Paul TX11 Walsh, also known as Britain's Bit, depending on what media you follow you on. And until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, but most importantly, remember to stay on track. Good night.